I'd like to welcome everyone to the 2026 Georgia PGA Annual Meeting. At this time, I will call the meeting to order. Before we get started, I want to thank everyone for coming out today. We've got a big crowd. I'll save some of this for my president's remarks, but we've moved this around a few different times in a few different places over the last few years, and judging by all the faces I see out here, those that have signed up for the merchandise show, and everyone that was at the awards dinner on Saturday, I think we're on to something. So I appreciate you taking time out of your day to hear from section leadership and to hear about the business of our organization. You do have a copy of your agenda. It is in your packet there if you'd like to review. We're going to try to stick to the schedule today as best we can. We've got some exciting speakers and others that we would like to make sure that they have ample time to educate and hopefully learn some things. But we're going to try to stick to that schedule as best we can. Specifically when we get to the breaks, if you could keep the breaks to the exact time that we put out there, that'll help us keep it on schedule and get you onward with your evening. At this time, I'd like to introduce the officers and district director. A little bit later today, they'll be seated at the head table. But for right now, we'll just call them out in the crowd. We'll start with our secretary, Miss Elizabeth Clarkson. Our vice president, Mr. Mike Miller. Our honorary president and district director, Mr. Cary Brown. And our CEO, Mr. Scott Geary. I would like to introduce also the board members that we have here present today. If you are here and in the crowd, if you could just stand and we'll hold applause until we get through all of them. Mr. Nick Bayless. Please hold applause. Mr. Jabir Bilal. Mr. Justin Brown. Mr. Tyler Johnson. Mr. Ryan Joyce. Mr. Dan Moskar. Mr. Glenn Scapine. Mr. John Wade. And Mr. David Ward. Thank you. I'd also like to take the time to welcome our past presidents in the room today. If you could hold applause as well. Mr. Brian Albertson, if you could stand. Mr. Jim Arndt. Mr. Danny Elkins. Mr. Tim Farrell. Mr. Mike McCollum. Mr. Mark Mongell. Mr. Dick Murphy, and Mr. Brian Stubbs. Thank you all. At this time, I would like to take a moment of silence for our deceased PGA members since the last annual meeting. Thank you. We'd like to also introduce and welcome and celebrate our newly elected Class A members in the section since September 1, 2025. Any that are here in attendance, if you could please stand and be recognized. I'd like to extend a thank you to our meeting partners. We'll have these listed on the screen, but again, without your support, these meetings would be much more difficult, much more of a challenge to pull off. So we appreciate your support, not only for this meeting, but what you do for our PGA professionals year in and year out. So a thank you and a round of applause to our sponsors. Continuing the congratulations, we'd like to recognize our 2025 Chapter Award recipients. I will ask them to stand as well. We have them listed out there from our North Chapter and our South Chapter. We were able to celebrate them on Saturday evening at Athens Country Club. It was a wonderful evening. But for those that are here in attendance, one more round of applause. I'd like to also recognize our 2025 section award recipients and ask them if they are here to stand. We have them listed on the screen as well. If you are an award recipient from this year, please go ahead and stand and be recognized. If we can give a round of applause for all of the award winners. And especially, I'd like to recognize our 2025 Professional of the Year and spotlight him for his career and his service this past year. We appreciate everything that you've done for the section as a past president. And again, we'll have you stand, Mr. Mark Mongell. All right. At this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Scott Geary to come up and introduce our first guest speaker.
All right, thanks, Josh. It's a distinct privilege to introduce our first guest, a man whose name is synonymous with excellence in the game of golf, not just here in Georgia, but across the entire national landscape. For the past 30 seasons, he has stood at the helm of one of the most prestigious programs in the country as a head men's golf coach here at the University of Georgia. Since taking over in 1996, he has transformed Bulldog Golf into a perennial powerhouse, leading the program to 2 national championships and 8 SEC titles. At Georgia, his track record for developing talent is unmatched. He has coached over 70 All-Americans and 33 All-SEC selections. But perhaps the greatest testament to his coaching is the Georgia pipeline to the PGA Tour. Coach Chris Haack's tenure at Georgia has created one of the most prolific pro pipelines in sports history. Since Haack took the reins, dozens of Bulldogs have reached the PGA Tour, accumulating 2 major championships, 50-plus tour victories, and over $200 million in career earnings, and consistent representation in President's Cups and Ryder Cups. Those names include, not just them, but they include Bubba Watson, Brian Harmon, Chris Kirk, Harris English, Kevin Kisner, Russell Henley, Brendan Todd, Sepp Straka, Hudson Swafford, and Keith Mitchell, just to name a few. His contributions have been rightfully etched into history here in the game of golf in Georgia, with inductions into the Golf Coaches Association of America Hall of Fame, the Georgia Golf Hall of Fame, and the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame. So if you would, please join me in welcoming Coach Haack. Well, Coach, we really appreciate you. I know it was a little short notice, us giving you the call to come here, but wanted to really appreciate you taking the time to join us and want to be able to ask you some questions about your tenure as coach, and then we'll leave a little time, too, if there's any questions that y'all think of as we're up here. But for those who don't know your full story, what's a quick version of how you went from competitive golfer yourself to even your time at the AJGA to becoming head men's golf coach?
Yeah, 1990, when I was with the AJGA, because I did that for 16 years, we started a tournament called the Cannon Cup, which was the best boys and girls from the East against the best boys and girls from the West. And I was the captain of the West team, and I really enjoyed being the captain of the team and being around that group. Now, I was very fortunate that I had a little guy named Tiger Woods for my first 4 years on the team, so that made it even more fun. But that just kind of got my interest in coaching. And so when Dick Kopis retired, I mentioned to a couple of former Georgia guys, I said, man, if Kopis ever retires, I'd be interested in that. And I was very fortunate. I got a call to come interview with Coach Dooley, and they took a chance on me.
Awesome. And a smart move on their part. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, the first Cannon Cup, was that not Tiger's first AJGA event that he played in?
Yeah. It was. And so what had happened in that whole situation is that at the time the AJGA was 14 through 18. and he was only 13. But I'd seen him play in the Big I tournament out in Arkansas. He didn't win, but there was something about him I really liked. And so I actually used him as a captain's pick. And nobody in the room knew who he was. And I told them, I said, I was a captain's pick, I'm going to put Tiger Woods on the team. They were like, who? And I said, there's something about this kid. So needless to say, I was very nervous because he was just turning 14 by the time we got down there. And he and Earl showed up. And the first thing I did is we were at Lake Nona, and I said, look, y'all take Earl to the room. Tiger, throw your clubs on. We're going to go play, because I thought, I got to find out if I've made a mistake here. We played 9 holes, and I went, I'm going to be fine.
So really, Tiger owes his career to you. Is it
Well,
safe
I
to?
wouldn't say that, but I was fortunate to be a little bit of a role in all that.
That's great. Kind of connecting with that, with a room full of PGA professionals here who work with very highly competitive junior golfers, what's a piece of advice you'd give those in this room working with those talented young golfers?
Well, obviously you guys do a great job, because just about every really good junior golfer that we come across, or anybody comes across, starts off with a good professional somewhere. So you guys all do a great job anyway. But you know, when I'm recruiting, here's the thing that I try to tell parents, and I'm sure you guys probably try to tell parents as well, is, you know, the decor and etiquette on the golf course is a big deal for me. You know, when I would go out recruiting, and I'm a little bit hoarse, by the way, because I've been talking on the phone for about 4 days now to everybody in the world. You know, if I see a kid with a golf bag and there's a big dent in that leg, I don't even bother with him, because if he's got that kind of temper on the golf course, I don't need him. You know, I always say too, you know, one of the best places to recruit is an orphanage. So that's supposed to get a chuckle. Because I'm telling you what, parents, man, they can ruin kids quicker than anything too. So that's why I think the parents, if they could get out of it and allow the kids to kind of just work with the pros, do what they do, they'll learn so much better and so much faster.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you tell the professionals? You know, oftentimes the pro is that sounding board for these competitive junior golfers, aside from their mom or dad. What would you tell them to prepare their youngsters for the college recruiting process?
Just, you know, realize that it's really hard. There's so few spots. It's very difficult. You got to work, man. You got to work your tail off and play in a lot of tournaments. You know, coaches like to see results. Coaches like to see scores. They like to see what kind of tournament you're playing in. I'd be honest with you, I really don't care a whole lot about golf swings. I don't really care about that. I want to see guys who are players. And I think, unfortunately, too many times, these kids are so caught up in the golf swing, they don't know how to play. And so one of the things that we do more than anything is just try to get them to learn how to play golf. I'm very fortunate. I know Bill Conley's here. Well, he sent me 3 who really knew how to play. So I appreciate that, because, again, I would say that my boy J.D. doesn't have the greatest golf swing, but, man, he's a player. So those are the kind of guys I like. Yeah.
You mentioned Bill and a couple others, but do you ever talk with the PGA professionals that are working with their juniors? And if so, what do you hear from them, or you know, what's that conversation like?
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, just about every kid we recruit's got his own teacher back home. So the last thing we want to do as coaches is mess that up. I want that relationship to continue. So if I need to find out anything from who's teaching him, I just tell them, say, look, I want to be an extension of you. You tell me what I need to be watching for. What are his tendencies? And then if I need to, I can take a video and send it back to him. Because we really don't want to get in the middle of that, because I think it's really important that swing coaches are the one voice they hear. They don't need multiple people in their ear.
Have you ever encountered that? A player who does have too many people in their ear, and then how have you handled that?
You just have to sit down and talk to them and tell them at some point, look, you know, you can't have too many cooks in the kitchen, man. You gotta be able to focus on one thing, because golf is hard already. You don't need to be focusing on too many other people.
Yeah. Well, Coach, I know this wasn't what I sent over, but obviously tremendous success at the University of Georgia. And for those who don't know in the room, the news came out this week. I hope you're okay with me mentioning it. This will be Coach Haack's final season at the University of Georgia after 30 years. So, you know, what kind of stories can you share with us? You had 2 national championship, number of SEC titles. Are there seasons or teams or things that stick out to you that you wouldn't mind kind of sharing with us?
Sure. You know, I think one of the things that I'm very proud of is that we had some pretty unique things happen in our program. You know, in 2001, we didn't win the national championship, but we had the best team in the country. But it was the first time in NCAA history where all 5 guys made third-team All-American or higher, which was amazing, considering that the 6th guy on that team was Bubba Watson. So that was a pretty good team. In 2005, we won the national championship at Caves Valley, and we went to bed that night before the final round with a 9-shot lead over Georgia Tech. And you can imagine I couldn't sleep, because all I could think about was, if I lose a lead to Georgia Tech, they're going to lynch me back in Athens. But it's the first time I've ever seen it happen, and I've never seen it happen again in any tournament I've ever been in. But all 5 of my guys shot 70. The final round, 70, 70, 70, 70, 70, which I've never seen anybody shoot the same score like that. So needless to say, Tech never got close to us. It was good. But just, you know, things like that. When the NCAA went to match play in 2009, it turned out that our team, who was number 1, was going to play Oklahoma State, who was number 2. We had to play each other, and the NCAA was really nervous about it going to match play, because they didn't really know what they had on their hands and how it was going to turn out. Well, that match, as it turned out of those 10 players, 10 of them went on to play in the PGA Tour. My team was Brian Harmon, Russell Henley, Harris English, Hudson Swafford, and a kid named Adam Mitchell, who was a Walker Cupper, who was really good. And their team had Ricky Fowler, Kevin Tway, Morgan Hoffman, Peter Uline, and a kid named Trent Leon. And it was a hell of a match, and by the time it came down to the final hole, it was Harmon against Ricky Fowler. And gosh, there were probably 3,000 people out there at that point watching, and the NCAA's never had that many people out there watching. But as it turned out, Harmon birdied the last 3 holes to beat him, and we beat him. And I mean, it was incredible. And I remember the NCAA guy came over to me and he goes, "I think match play's here to stay." So it was pretty fun. But again, that was the first experience in the match play era.
Yeah, absolutely. What in your job, especially with these young, extremely talented players, what surprises you the most?
You know what? Probably what has surprised me is the guys that I had that didn't make it. Not necessarily the guys that did make it, but I had some really, really good players that didn't make it. And it just tells you how hard it is to be successful and get out there. Probably the single biggest thing that I have preached to my guys for 30 years, and it's the one thing we harp on probably more than anything, is the way that we do qualifying is we tee it up and play. I don't care if you're an incoming Player of the Year. I don't care if you're a past All-American. When we tee it up at the beginning of the year, everybody's equal, and you got to be in the top 5 to go. And if you do make it and you finish top 10 that week individually, you're exempt for the next week. But everybody else goes back into qualifying. And that person that's exempt, he's not just sit around and do nothing. He's in the qualifier as well, but his incentive changes. And so if he can win the qualifier outright, he gets to bank that exemption. So now it keeps him really keeps him motivated. Russell Henley was the best. He wanted to win every qualifier because he wanted to be exempt into the spring as early as he could. But what that really taught them is that you're going to be in the cooker all the time. And I can remember Chris Kirk, his freshman year, couldn't make the lineup for the first few events, and he was devastated. Brendan Todd has told me before, the greatest motivator he ever had was when he saw the van leave without him sitting on the range, and he was a two-time All-American. So those guys all know that it was all intentional to prepare them to realize that, dude, you guys are going to be qualifying the rest of your lives, whether it's for the Korn Ferry Tour, and if you're on the Korn Ferry Tour, you're trying to get to the PGA Tour. If you're on the PGA Tour, you're trying to get to the top 75, then the top 50. You're always having to prove yourself. So don't think that anybody's out there going to give you anything. Yeah. And so, again, one of the biggest things in that, preaching to them, was don't be afraid to fail. And we always, that was the biggest thing, is don't be afraid. If you're going to play this game afraid, go get another job, because you cannot be afraid in this game if you're going to be successful.
Yeah, that's well said. Also, would you say, a lot of the other coaches that have been around a while, is that what you just talked about there, is that common, or do a lot of programs kind of bring the same folks?
A lot of teams kind of keep a couple picks in their back pocket. It's always kind of like, hey, we'll qualify, but I'm going to make sure my All-American's there, or I'm going to make sure this recruit that I promised I'm going to play him when he gets in there. I just never did that. I'd never thought that we were doing our kids any favors by protecting them. And honestly, by doing it also, I never got calls from parents who said, why isn't my kid not playing? Well, you know what? Here's where he finished, and this is who we're taking. And that helps solve a lot of problems too.
Yeah. And I think most in this room would agree. That commands respect right away. You're earning your spot into that top 5. So, Coach, when a recruit comes here to Georgia, what's something, obviously you want to show them Athens and your facilities and all that, but what's something you hope a recruit takes away from their trips?
Well, in a town like Athens, to have 3 really good golf courses like we do with the Country Club, Jenny's Mill, and the University Golf Course, there's not a lot of towns this size that have 3 really good golf courses like that. So I always want them to make sure they see that. But that it is a college town, and there's a lot to be, a lot of fun to be had in a great college town. And that, I try to preach to them, there's 6 games a year in football where it's kind of crazy downtown. So pick and choose your times when you want to do it, because if we're going to a tournament, you better not be doing it that weekend. But there's a lot of fun that could still be had. I do not let my guys join fraternities. And I was a fraternity guy, and I always tell them that, when I was a fraternity playing at West Georgia, that derailed my playing. And so I never want them to have that, because I always say, look, school, golf, and fraternity, one of those isn't going to survive, and I'm not going to let it be the first 2. So I don't let them join fraternities, but there's just plenty of fun. And we've got, the thing about Georgia, there's so many great golf courses to go play. And it's amazing to me how many times we'll get invited to come play someplace, and it's amazing. The golf in Georgia is incredible.
Well, you kind of touched on it a little bit, just with not allowing your players to join a frat, but in your team culture, what are some non-negotiables you have with your players that they must do these things?
You got to be on time. Can't throw a club or drop a big old F-bomb in front of anybody important. So I always had a deal. I'll tell you guys a couple of stories. So I always had this deal where if anybody ever messed up, if you were late, if you threw a club, whatever it was, whatever the team rules talked about, if a guy messed up, the whole team ran. It wasn't just that player, it was the whole team. So he was responsible to everybody. So we had a couple of really good incidents where my punishments were always intended to kind of be fun for me. But one year, I can't remember what it was. I think Adam Mitchell threw a club or something, and I had just come over the hill to see it, and I went, oh boy. But we went out to the track one time and, ran around there a few times, and I said, all right, here's what we're going to do. I want you guys to pick out the 4 fastest guys on the team. And so it was Henley, Harmon, Adam Mitchell, and I think Rob Bennett were the 4 fastest guys. And I said, here's what we're going to do. The first guy's going to take off. And as I see them getting ready, I'll send the second guy, kind of make sure he doesn't lose any time. And I said, I want to see if you guys think y'all can break the 4-minute mile. And they all went, with one guy going a lap, oh, we'll do this easily. 4:18, and they got a whole lot of respect after that for a guy being able to do that on his own. So that was kind of cool. But we had another one where I took him to the Coliseum, and I made him go, I'd start him down at the court, and I'd make him go up the stairs, turn, and come back down. We were going to go all around the Coliseum. And I said, if you get out of step, if you get too fast, we're starting over. So sure enough, about 4 or 5 times of starting over, we finally got him doing it. And then I made him do some wind sprints. And it was always great because I kind of knew when it was getting near the end, Kevin Kisner would throw up. And that's when I kind of knew it was time. But I finally said, here's what we're going to do. If I can have a guy make a free throw, we'll stop. But I'm picking the guy, and I picked Richard Scott. He was my Canadian. He was a 3-time Canadian amateur champ. Was terrible at basketball. And he made the shot, and I'm telling you what, they lifted that guy like he was he just won the Olympics. I mean, it was great. So I was always trying to do fun things when we were punishing the guys.
I love that. You talked about it earlier, what surprised you were the guys that didn't make it. And it shows just how good you have to be. Is there something you've noticed with those that have made it that already alone playing at the University of Georgia, you are a good player, but those truly great players that have gone on to make it, is there something that stands out about them?
It's funny you ask that because we talked about this year in Puerto Rico. Just about every one of those players that were really good had one really common trait. They had no governor when it came to gambling when we would go down to Puerto Rico. I mean, these guys, at 18, you can gamble in Puerto Rico, and so for the first time gambling, I mean, that's when you find out a guy who ain't afraid to lose $20 or a guy who's afraid to lose $1. And it's amazing how many of those guys that were great players, they were very aggressive and did not care, and they wanted at it. So again, it goes back to what I said. They have no fear. They don't fear losing. They don't fear hitting a bad shot. They know if they hit a bad shot, they got another one coming up. It's the guys who just play scared. And I've always said this to the guys, and I'm sure all of us did this because I did this, and I know it because I lived it. How I would get on a hole and it was tight, and I'd go, okay, I'm just going to try to steer this one down the middle, and the next thing you know, I've hit it OB, and now I'm pissed off, and I go get that next one up, tee it up, and I don't care now, and I rip it right down the middle. It's because I didn't care, and I try to get these guys to understand, you just got to rip it. You got to go. You got to trust it. If it goes crooked, it goes crooked, but you really are pissed when you try to steer it. Or you try to cozy it, and it just doesn't work that way. Golf is a game that you got to try. You go out there and you beat balls all day long, and then you got to take it to the golf course. On the range, it looks great, but you better be able to do it when there's, you got a 4-iron into that 18th hole, and everybody's watching, and it's coming down, and we've got to win this tournament to win the NCAAs. You gotta be able to do it with no fear and trust what you're doing.
I know there are some folks in the room, and it's the good players who would also fall into that, have no fear with cards. Obviously you've had great moments with a lot of your teams. You gave us a couple stories on that already. Is there a moment or two that stands out to you with a player that kind of gives you chills to think about?
You like their playing ability or just anything?
Anything, yeah.
Well, I can remember when Bubba Watson came to Athens. So Bubba, I recruited Bubba when he was coming out of high school, but his grades were so bad I had to send him to a JUCO for 2 years. And parked him down there at a little place called Faulkner State, and then brought him up. And I remember the first week he came up, we're sitting in the office and we're kind of going through everything we do. And I said, yeah, on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays we work out, and on Thursday nights we do yoga. And he kind of got this look in his face. I said, what's the matter? He goes, did you say yoga? I said, yeah. He goes, Coach, I'm not religious. I went, oh, God, I got to get some tutors for this guy. Just stories like that were funny. Kevin Kisner, he one time, his mom came to every tournament, and he missed a putt or something one time, and kind of an F-bomb big enough for me to hear it because I was standing next to his mom. Of course, the team ran after we got home for that one. He was so mad that his mom heard it. So there's all kinds of good stories. Sepp Straka, we were at the NCAAs at concession, and I'm walking with Sepp. And Sepp was a really good player. A funny story about Sepp. Sepp and Sam, when I recruited them, Sam was the stud. Sam was the guy. And I kind of saw Sepp as almost kind of a throw-in. Like, man, this kid looks kind of like Ernie Els. He kind of swings at it like the Big Easy. I kind of like him. Yeah, I'll take Sepp. And Sepp, he hardly played any. He redshirted. We got to his fourth year, and he really started to figure it out. He started trusting it, but that was his biggest problem, is that he would bail out on a shot at a critical time. So we're at the NCAAs at concession, and I said, look, I'm going to walk with you, and if I see you bail out on a shot, I'm going to punch you in the arm. And he said, okay. So first 5 holes, man, he's just striping it. We get over to a hole, and it's got water left, and sure enough, you can see it. You guys all are players. You've seen it. That guy just bails on it. And he's watching it, and I whacked him in the arm. He went, damn, you were serious. I went, yeah, I'm serious. I said, I do not care where the ball goes. Just make a committed golf swing. So it was funny. After that, his mom and dad had talked to me about, they'd said, look, he's graduating. We're going to just have him go on and get a job. And I went, no. He's got another year. He can come back. He's just now figuring it out. Don't do that. So I literally had to talk them into letting him come back for a 5th year, and I think they agreed with me now.
Yeah. I think you nailed it. You actually took my next question, because I was going to say, what do you do when the pressure's on? What do you tell your kids? But obviously you just hit them.
Well, yeah, hit them. The one thing, when a kid says to me, he goes, well, I'm trying to do it the best way I can. I go, look, here's what I would tell you. And I would tell any kid this, and this is no great secret. This is just, if the pressure's really tight and you're really worried about the shot, I want you to just imagine that you're hitting a shot out on the driving range, because you're always free and loose. Nobody's ever made a scared swing on the range. I said, just imagine, just think to yourself, I'm on the driving range, I'm just going to swing at it and hit it just like I'm on the range. And usually that kind of helps calm them a little bit.
Yeah, very good. In the day and age we're in now, obviously all of collegiate sports, but NIL is such a big piece to what's going on. And I know we talked briefly out there about some of the restrictions that have come with how many guys you can have on the team. What have you seen? What challenges have there been within that you've had to overcome?
Yeah, it's, again, this is my opinion. I just really think that whole thing some of these changes are ruining college athletics as a whole. It's one of the reasons that I'm ready to get out. For years, my biggest challenge was taking 4.5 scholarships and trying to divvy it up among 10 or 12 guys. That was the rule forever. You got 4.5 scholarships. I could give this kid 20%, this kid 80%. So we were already playing a game of free agency type of stuff, and that was already hard enough, because you want to give every kid everything you can. But I dealt in that world for 28 years, and then here this NIL world comes along, and one of the first questions sometimes you get from a kid and his parents is, well, what kind of deals is he able to get? And, what can he expect? And, we are not participating in the revenue share like, all the other sports. So at Georgia, they told us right up front, golf is not getting any of the $22 million rev share. So any NIL deal that we come up with has got to be a legitimate business deal. Well, I don't have time to go pound the pavement trying to find these kids NIL deals. And, all of a sudden here the last couple of years, we're recruiting, a couple of kids. One of the kids that we were recruiting from Alabama is going to Tennessee for a couple $100,000. And, there's another kid from Jacksonville who's going to Florida State for another, $300,000 to $500,000 is what I've heard. I just, I don't like it. Now, what I will say is that I'm very fortunate in that we've had, for the longest time, and then it's continued with the two recruits we have coming in with Mason Howell and Hamilton Coleman. I mean, here's two kids that won the U.S. Junior, won the U.S. Amateur, and every coach would call me and go, God, what are you having to pay those guys? I didn't have to pay them anything. I gave them a full scholarship. That's all I gave them. And so we were very fortunate in that, they grew up Bulldog fans. The mom and dad had Bulldog ties. With Mason, his sisters up here in the athletic department. They're coming for all the right reasons, not because I'm willing to pay them. Now, that doesn't mean they're probably not going to get some NIL deals on their own, which I'm sure they have. But we just didn't have to do it. So it's a good time for me to get out because I didn't have to do it. I'm leaving the cupboard very full. I have one saying that I've been telling my guys for 30 years, and that's with anything, is leave it better than you found it. So we would stay in people's private homes and so forth, and I'd always make these guys clean probably the house better than when we found it. And that's what I always told them. It's always important. Leave everything better than you found it. So that's what I've been telling them. I got you a great recruiting class coming in, so I'm leaving it better than I found it.
Yeah, very good. And I know you shared with me out there, but SEC itself has one less spot than the rest of the country.
The NCAA's changed the rules a couple of years ago and put roster limits on us. And so everybody in the country gets 9. The SEC came out and said, well, we're only going to let you have 8. So, think about that. What a disadvantage to a conference that, our conference, top to bottom, we've probably got, 12 teams in the top 30. It's strong. But we tried to make the argument that by doing that to us, 16 of the best players in the country are going to go to other schools. They're not even going to come to our conference. That's a lot of good players that the SEC misses out on. So, yeah, that's just another one of those thorns in my side that I'm glad to walk away from.
Sure. Switching gears a little bit, I'm sure we can all venture a guess, but who's the funniest player you've had, or the best trash talker even?
Well, Kisner was a good one. Ryuji Yamada was a funny kid. I've had a lot of them. Sam Straka was an absolute jewel of a kid. I've had a lot of, that's probably the single biggest thing, is that I've had some of the greatest kids, some of the greatest personalities, and I was always lucky that I also had a lot of good parents along the way as well.
Kind of along those lines, when a player goes, obviously you want them to achieve whatever their goals are in golf, but maybe if they don't make it, what's one thing you want them to take away from their time at UGA?
That they were a part of the greatest golfing fraternity that existed, and that these are lifelong friendships. These are connections, everywhere we go in the country, whether it's the golf professionals, whether it's the sponsors, whether it's our host families. These are people that you're meeting, volunteers and so forth. Probably one of the single biggest things that I'm proud of is that just about every tournament where there's a lot of volunteers, like with live scoring or whatever it could be, inevitably a lot of the volunteers will always come up and say, Coach, you've got the most polite players. Because I teach our kids, yes sir, no sir, and that's important. Always stop and thank a volunteer, because you never know. That guy might be a CEO somewhere and have to give you a job one day if you can't putt.
Now, that sounds familiar. I worked at the AJJ as well, and I know that's something they they instilled with us there. Are there any stories from your time there, working with the competitive junior golfers on that tour, that aside from the Tiger story, that you can share with us?
Oh gosh, my AJJ days, those were some fun times too. But no, my best story, I guess my greatest stories are just kind of Tiger related. You know, just even when I got done with him. So we were at Augusta National one year, and it went right when he first started playing. I'd gone up there and caddied in the par 3 tournament for Willie Wood, who was our AJJ Player of the Year the very first year in '78. And so we're on the range, and Tiger's hitting balls, and this is when they're on the old range, and he's hitting these drivers that are like stingers into the net, that way down there. And so I kind of walked down there, and I'm talking to him, and I said, hey, why do you keep hitting these stinger drivers? You're not going to hit those here, are you? And he goes, because if I tee it up too high, I hit it over the net, and they get mad at me. And I went, you can hit it over that net? And he goes, yeah, I can hit it over that net. And I said, hit one. I want to see it. And he goes, I can't. I said, I'm telling you, they tell me they're going to run me off if I do it again. So I said, even for old time's sake, he said, no, I can't do it. So we keep talking, chatting it up, and then see it. At some point, I see him kind of tee one up a little higher, and he comes back and goes, all right, this one's for old time's sake. And this thing must have flew into Piggly Wiggly over there. He picked up that tee, and off he went. But no, Tiger was a really funny kid. We're playing in a tournament down at Isleworth where he lives, and I don't think, my kids on the team ever really thought that I knew Tiger. They're like, oh, you didn't really know Tiger. So we're at the back of the range. We'd gotten there a day early, and we're on the back of the range, and they're practicing, and all of a sudden, his house was kind of catty-corner to the back of the range, and you could see him walking about 100 yards away, and he was dressed, he looked like he just worked out, and he's in black, and he looked like a god, walking across. And all my guys were like, Coach, here comes Tiger, here comes Tiger. So he came walking over, and first thing I said to him, I go, don't come over here looking all buff like you working out or something. And he just goes, well, I can see you hadn't been working out. So Tiger was a jewel of a kid. He was great. I actually learned a lot from Earl. Yeah, I picked Earl's brain a lot back in those days on how he taught. I used to, when I was growing up playing golf, me and Lewis Brown, everybody probably knows Lewis Brown, right? Lewis Brown and I grew up together in Noonan. And Lewis and I, we were 15, 13. We would go to the blue tees, the back tees, and see if we could break 80. Hey, let's go see if we can break 80 from the back tees. And I never really learned how to shoot a low number. And so Tiger's dad was telling me one time, he said, I taught Tiger from the hole backwards. He said, I when he was 3, we played a 4-foot hole, and as he would get older, the length would go a little deeper because he always learned that pars were great, birdies were better, and that's how he taught him. And I thought, you know what? No wonder I was terrible at golf. I never learned the right way. And so I've tried to preach to all the kids at my golf camps and stuff, learn that way. Because at golf camp, inevitably I'll have all these little kids going, why are we playing the up tees? Well, when you can break par, you can move back, And of course they'd all shoot 51 and so forth. But those were some of my best stories from the AJGA. Just again, it was really more about the people you meet. The things that I remember most about the AJGA were the golf professionals that I met around the country, those type of guys. There's a guy over at Hilton Head, Jimmy Farrell, who to this day we still stay in touch. He was an assistant pro for Gary Ellis over there for years, but Jimmy and I were still friends to this day. So all the golf pros make a big impact on you when you're with the AJGA. I know that.
Absolutely. I am going to open it up for some questions, but just one last thing. 30 years, incredible run. You said it yourself. You've left them in a great spot. Moving on. What's next for you? What are you looking forward to?
I don't know. I know that I'm not totally done doing anything. I'm not quite ready to just sit around and do nothing. I don't even play golf anymore. I gave my golf clubs 5 years ago to my son-in-law. I haven't. My last round of golf was probably 5 or 6 years ago at Augusta National, and I was going down the 6th hole, and it was raining, and I stepped, and my foot went out from under me, and I fell back and broke my ankle, and the next day I had to have a plate, 9 screws, and a wire put in my ankle, and so I didn't play for quite a while, and I really didn't miss it. What I found out when if even up to that point, you can't hit the golf shots you used to hit. You know, you can't play the way you used to play. It's no fun. I would rather vicariously live through the kids I'm teaching and coaching and let them hit the shots, because that looks a lot better than mine.
Very good. Well, we'll open it up. If anybody's we've got about 10 minutes or so. If anybody has any questions they want to ask Coach Haack. If you do, just raise your hand, stand up, speak as loud as you can.
Yeah, who's your best international player?
My best international player. I haven't had that many. I had Bryden McPherson from Australia, who won the British Amateur and played in the Masters. I had a kid from South Africa, Benjamin van Beek, who was an All-American. He won regionals for me one year. Trying to think. I really don't count Sepp and Sam as Austrian. They're Valdosta redneck all the way. Trust me, they are not Austrian. In fact, if you know those guys, like I know he knows them, they're totally different kids, right? Sam is more redneck, like he's from Vienna, and Sepp is more like Vienna. So, I'm trying to think of. Oh, I've got an international player on my team right now from South Korea. His name is Sung-Yuk Cho, who's really good. He was the Geary player, collegiate player of the year last year out at a small school in Colorado Christian, and he transferred in, but he's been hurt. He played in our first tournament at Pebble Beach, finished 15th, and then he ended up getting 3 bulging discs and hadn't had a chance to play yet this year. So we're hoping to get him back because he's really good. But I really hadn't had that many foreigners. I've been very fortunate that I've been able to really stick mainly in the Southeast, too. I really hadn't had to venture out very far.
Any others?
Come on.
Chris, you got big shoes to fill. Tell us a little bit about Mookie.
Mookie's a great kid. He played for me. He originally went to Mercer and then transferred up to Georgia. Played for me. He was a former camper, so I knew him. He and Keith Mitchell had kind of grown up in the Highlands area together. But was one of my best captains that I've ever had, because he would, here's the deal. In college golf, you can only, a lot of people don't know this, you can only schedule 20 hours a week of organized stuff, right? So if you have 3 days where you work out, there's 3 hours. If you have yoga one night, there's your 4. So now you're down to 16. If you have 3 rounds of qualifying, 4 hours a round, that's 12. There's not a whole lot of time to be out on the driving range with these guys and help them and so forth. So the only practice we ever have is we have a short game practice, which we call the gauntlet, we set up a little short game course, and they got to chip it up, put it in, post a score. And we have a couple of putting things that we make our guys do, which is called the 40s, where they pull a putter back and they have to make 10 at each spot without missing. And inevitably what happens is they'll, I always tell them once they hit 30, let me know, and then everybody starts turning their attention to that guy trying to make those last 10, giving him a lot of grief and a lot of razzing. And it's amazing how many guys miss on 38 or 39 because the pressure builds. And they know they don't want to do it again. But that's, those are the kind of things we do. But so you really have to have self-motivated guys. You got to have golf junkies. You got to have kids that even if I said, don't come out to the range, they're coming out anyway to practice on their own. They just love it. They live it. Those are the kind of guys you have to have. But Mookie was that kind of guy. So a lot of times those practices and some of those competitions are all brought on by the captain who just says, hey, we're all going to meet today and do this, because we can't even go out on the range. We can't even go out there. If they're out there, that would count as instruction. which in my mind is just absolutely, again, one of the stupidest rules I've ever heard. But that's the landscape we've lived in for 30 years. But Mookie will do a great job because he likes to really get out there and get hands-on, but he's just not going to be able. He's going to figure out he doesn't have as much time when he's the head coach as he does now. And but he'll do a great job. He's a good player, and he's a good player.
Which tournaments that you or the guys look forward to going to the most over the years? Which venues or schools?
Oh gosh, that this is one of the things I catch a lot of grief from a lot of the older players who played before I got there, and they'll always say to me, "Gosh, when we played." We played in Columbus and LaGrange and, all these different places. And you're going to Puerto Rico and Vegas and Cabo and Hawaii. So I always tell them, I go, well, I've got to do the schedule. Hell, I'm going to go where I want to go. I want to go where it's going to be fun. I mean, if I can't go and have fun, why do it? So I try to pick out the most competitive tournaments on the best venues, against the best fields, with the best weather. I try to do that. So, this spring we just got back from Puerto Rico playing where they're going to play the PGA Tour event. We're going out to Southern Highlands Friday in Vegas. We got a tournament out there. It's one of the best tournaments of the year. We come back. We go down to Great Waters at the Linger Longer, which is, again, one of my favorite events because, it's close to home and I love it. We went to Hawaii in the fall. We went and played Colonial, where they play the Ben Hogan Collegiate Tournament, but the Colonial Tournament. We went down to Biloxi and played Fallen Oaks, which if you've ever played there, great golf course. Again, I take them wherever we can go. We've got a tournament that'll be the second year we've played in it this year called at the Ford, which is an awesome golf course. Love it going down there. So again, over in Augusta, we got the Haskins tournament that we're going to be playing over there at Forest Hills. And, it's funny, I can remember when I first got into coaching, we went to the tournament over there in Augusta at Forest Hills, and it dawned on me when I was there that I actually played in that tournament when I was at West Georgia. And I went, God, I remember this golf course. And it was a great old Donald Ross golf course. But by the time I'd come back years later, they had redone it and they'd taken out a couple of the original holes and so forth, but it still got a lot of character. And I've been hearing, and I don't know this, and Brian may know this, but I've been hearing rumors that Augusta National may get more involved in it at some point and maybe try to really put it back in the shape that it could be. But we went down there one year. They had overseeded it wall to wall, and I'm telling you, it was phenomenal. It was great. Went back the next year, it was all dormant. Went damn. But no, again, do a lot of fun things. I've tried to take our kids and given them experiences at places around the country and things that they probably would never do. We went one year and played a match against Army and Princeton at Aronimink. And while we were there, we went and played Marion. And the coach from Princeton got us on. So we're just playing Marion, and there was this guy on a par 3 behind it, and he came up behind me and was asking me how the kids liked it and so forth, and I was talking to him probably for about 45 minutes, and then he left, and then later on the coach from Princeton came over to me and he said, hey, I saw you talking to so-and-so, and I said, I didn't know his name. He said, he owns the Phillies. I went, I didn't know that. That was kind of cool. We went one year, we were going to go out and play a match against USC at Riviera. It was the year that the NCAAs were there. And I called Chris Zambri and I said, hey, we'll come out and play you. He said, yeah, that'd be great. So he called me about 3 or 4 days later and he said, hey, look, when you come out, we'll get you on Riviera. That's not a problem. We'll do that. But would you mind if we played this match at the Valley Club? I'd never heard of it. I went, yeah, I don't care. It's up to you. He goes, no, it's Hacker. It's great. It's called the Valley Club of Montecito. It's not ranked because they don't let people in there to rank it. And it's old school. It's an old, not Tillinghast. Who did Augusta National? McKenzie. It's an old McKenzie golf course. And he was right. I mean, it's a unbelievable golf course built right at the foothills of the Santa Barbara Mountains and the ocean. And I mean, every hole was so cool, and the clubhouse was this old, cool clubhouse. And again, my guys would never have an opportunity to do something like that in their lives again. But, just being able to do fun things like that. We've played tournaments at Inverness and Hazeltine and Caves Valley and just all over the place. Hell, my team just went Saturday to Augusta National and played. So they're pretty spoiled. But I like spoiling them. I think that's cool.
Yeah, that's good. All right, we got time for one more.
I'm currently at Clarkson Country Club. We got a pretty competitive union program there. That's my question is, what advice would you give some of the guys, like those recently won the state championship, got a very competitive group, but some younger underclassmen in high school? What point in high school would you really like to reach out to start reaching out to different coaches?
You mean, when would I start recruiting them in high school, or?
Well, that and kind of what point would, if you were them, would you seriously start reaching out to some of
To try to get them to play on the high school team and that kind of stuff?
no, to the college?
Oh, to colleges. Oh, you know what? I get probably 20 emails a day from kids all over the country on average, sending me their resumes, telling me where they're going to play and so forth. I don't think it's ever too early, because here's what will happen. I take the time to read their resume just to see if they really are any good at that particular point in time, because I'll try to mirror up where they are in school and how good they are and what they're playing in. And I mean, I literally will get some that'll say, I just started playing golf and I'm shooting in the mid 80s. What's my chances of playing there? But some of these kids are pretty good, and I'll immediately kind of put their name on a pad or something. And then you kind of, when you're looking at results, because we look at results from all the junior golf tournaments all over, and all of a sudden you'll see that kid's name pop up, and it's like, oh, I remember the kid, he sent me a letter. So I don't think you can do it too early. On average, I would say probably before they go into the 10th grade, maybe reach out. Certainly before the 11th. The recruiting's changed in that it used to could be, you could reach out to them, whenever they hit high school. Now you can't reach out to them until after they graduate their junior year, which has kind of slowed things down a little bit. You had a while there where some kids were committing in the 8th grade or the 9th grade, and you were just hoping like heck that they didn't lose their game. But at that time, you didn't have a roster limit, so you could take a chance on a guy. But now with the roster limits and not being able to take a chance on a kid as much, I don't recruit many any potential guys anymore. I need guys who are somewhat proven with as small group as you have. But I would say 10th, 11th grade easily. And did you say you're at Cartersville? Man, you got some good players up there. Yeah. Now, I don't know what you do up there, because when I had Buck Brumlow, he wanted to go home every weekend. So I don't know what was going on. I don't know what was the big draw up there. But I couldn't get that kid to stay in Athens. I mean, he either liked the home-cooked meals or something. I don't know what it was. But most kids are homesick their freshman year and then never want to go home. Buck wanted to go home every weekend he could. So, oh, you did? He is a homebody. He's like an old soul. He's a 45-year-old man in a 24-year-old body. But he could play. Has he? I think he's broken 60 up there a few times, hasn't he? Damn, 57? Yeah, that's pretty good. He never shot that for me.
Well, thank you so much, Coach, for joining us. Let's give it up for Coach Haack. Round of applause.
Thank you.
All righty. Thank you again to Coach Haack. Hopefully you found that insightful. He's a legend in the game here in Georgia, and we were happy to get him up on stage for 45 minutes. At this time, we're going to introduce a couple more of our partners and give them the stage. We'd like to start with Mr. Nick Anderson from MemberSports.
All right. It is great to be here with you today. I'm a big fan of the state of Georgia. I grew up a Braves fan because Ted Turner made sure that every kid in the U.S., the only team that they could watch was the Braves. So that was me in the 90s. That was the only team I had television for, was on TBS. So I tuned in almost every night to watch the Braves, and they became my team. So I always love coming to Georgia. Too bad there's not a game going on, but excited to be here with you all and to introduce ourselves or reiterate who we are. We're excited to be sponsors here, and one thing that we aim to do more than anything is to build relationships and be part of something that is growing and be innovative and be at the forefront of technology, because I know you all get really excited every morning about technology. You wake up at giddy, you're excited to go do that. No, I guess not. No, nothing. Okay, you're excited not to think about technology. That's what we are here for, to make sure that you guys can come in, do your job, make sure you have a reliable system, and go through it. MemberSports has been around for over 3 years. We have over 150 courses now throughout the nation, and we are growing fast. And there is a huge revolution going on in the tech industry, as you guys all know, with AI and all these different components that are coming in there, and technology is getting better and better, and we are one of the ones that are pushing the envelope to make sure that all softwares are current and that they're updating and always doing what they should be doing, which they haven't done for the last 10 years. And it's not to say that softwares in the past were they're being negligent, but they were in some ways. Because one of the things that you'll find with us is that we are never satisfied with the current technology and where we are. We are always constantly learning, growing. We're not perfect, but we're making our system and we're striving to make it the best one out there every day. And we post it. We show everybody what we're doing. We show everybody what we've come out, what updates we have. And every single one of those updates are recommendations and requests from pros all around the nation. And so that's where we get our feedback from. That's who we talk to. That's who we do everything through, is through you as the operators. MemberSports, we service private, semi-private, public, municipalities, MCOs, resorts. We've launched our new lodging component for those that have cabins, hotels, any of that. We have all these different things coming out, and we have many more that we're working on. We're improving. Again, this is what we do. We're constantly improving and doing better and better, and that's what makes it fun. We have a T-sheet, point of sale, our lodging simulators. You can use our scheduling event module for courts, pickleball, tennis, other areas. We have a communication center. We have full food and beverage. We have a lot in our system, and it's all ours. Everything you see with our system, and when we talk, is everything built by us, and it's built within our system. We do not outsource anything. Every part of our support and our development is in-house. We don't outsource any of that. So you'll find one system with one point of contact, and that white glove service is really important to us because relationships are the number one thing that we want to make sure that we develop with everyone. So I just want to, just to end on, what Coach Haack was saying. I think one of the most important things is to be fearless, and that's who we are. I hope you guys are, to not have any fear of, as sponsors, one of the things that we love doing is just sharing what we offer. So we're going to be here all day tomorrow, and come by, say hi. We just want to be the first. If you're thinking about switching, if you're thinking about changing, or you're unsatisfied with what you currently have, call us. Come talk to me. That's all we want. That's all. We just want an opportunity, and if we're the right fit, we're going to move forward. If we're not the right fit, we're not the right fit for everybody. If you guys if you're happy with that spinning wheel of death, or not getting updates and not communicating directly with a real person, with someone having their cell phone, we're not the software for you. Okay, we are going to deliver that day in and day out, and you can ask any one of our current courses with that. But don't be afraid to say hi. Don't be afraid to check, to find something that you might like better. Don't be afraid with that transition piece. We can onboard a course within 5 to 10 days. It's that fast nowadays, and so we've done some pretty large operations in right during peak season. So there's a lot of things, but that's not going to be for everybody either. We want to make sure that it's all what you guys are comfortable with. But we're excited to be here. We appreciate your time, appreciate all that you guys do, and looking forward to working with you more and more. Thank you.
At this time, we'd also like to introduce partner Darren Waguespack from GlowVibe Golf.
Hey everyone, we're excited to be here today to be a new vendor partner of the Georgia PGA. We understand that planning new social events can be very time consuming, a lot of stress, and takes up a lot of labor hours. Our motto at GlowVibe Golf is we make fun easy. So what that means is we're a full service Glow Golf entertainment company. We come in, we set it up, we take it down, we support the event from start to finish. So what we do is we create grow parties on your golf course, your driving range, or we can even go as far as customizing events around your clubhouse, like for member, and member guest events. As far as last year, we went to 33 different states and partnered with over 400 clubs last year. We've done some business in Georgia, but we're looking to expand to this market and do more events. Our most popular event would be, let's see, this one right here is going to be glow putting. So one of the things we do for like a customized event is we do like a glow putting competition on the practice green. So we can do that for like your member guest event, things like that. So that's unique. We also do, our most popular event is going to be par 3 golf, where we come in and we shorten the course 150 yards in. We do glow tee boxes 150, 175. We do glow runways that lead them up to the hole. We glow the bunkers. We glow the greens, flag sticks, water hazards. We take care of everything. As far as safety purposes, we'll even go as far as put 1,000 lumen light on the front of the golf cart for safety so it shoots out so everybody can see while they're playing glow golf. Then we'll put a flashing red light on the back so you can identify the group in front of you. So it's all about the fun. What we see at these glow golf events, these par 3s, is we're getting a lot more people out there that are in for more of the social experience. Like you get a lot more ladies out there. They're all about having fun. So you're seeing members that typically don't come, they're coming out for this because it's not a serious game of golf that day. It's all about the fun. And that's what we try to provide for people. As far as the driving range, we have interactive glow targets that we get customized for us. When you hit the targets, they flash and they turn different colors. So it's like we line up 8 to 10 hitting bays. Glow balls are flying through the air. We get all our own balls manufactured for us. You got LED balls flying through the air all over the ground. Everybody's hitting targets, having a good time. So that's some of the things we do. So we're excited about being here, and if you're looking for new fun, we'd love to be part of those plans, and we can make it easy for you. Thank you all very much.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Doug Wert for a PGA Career Consulting Report.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're doing well. It's great to see you. I want to start by saying thank you to the Georgia PGA and those that put together. We had an amazing new member luncheon today for all the new members in the section. And we also had our past presidents there, and it was amazing to hear from all of them as well. So kudos to the Georgia PGA for putting that together. It's great for all the new members, especially when I get to deal with a lot of them and helping them through that process. It's just awesome to see that come. And it was also nice for me to sit in on it as well because I'm now a new member of the Georgia PGA. Great to be a part of it. So I've got 4 things I want to share with you today. First is just a review of 2025 and how well we did this year in the section with career services. I want to briefly tell you about the new services coming to all of you from Corebridge Financial. And then I'm going to introduce to you a new career profile prototype that will live on PGA.org. And then lastly, we're going to talk some about PGA Executive Search. So the year in review, okay, there we go. So year in review, 128 positions filled within the section, and that's across all job types that we've had in the section. One thing that's amazing is this year we saw 653,000, just over that, in increase in compensation in positions across our section. And I will share later, I'm sure Cary's going to share as well, but across the country, $13 million increase in compensation this year for all of our PGA members through our work in career services. We had over 13 fee-based searches in the section this past year, and that was really excited. And then compensation survey, we're at 78% completion right now. I'm going to just preach on that real quick now and at the end. I really need those of you that have not completed that to please go take care of that. Put in your compensation information on your compensation profile on PGA.org. That information is so important to me and our other career consultants when it comes to helping you with compensation and helping you negotiate when you get to the point at your facility where you're looking at a new contract or you're looking at a new job, a new position. It's very important that that information is accurate so that I can help you. And there are many in this room that we've been able to help with that, that will tell you, please go do it. So just want to ask you to do that. Also want to quickly share some information about more services coming to you from Corebridge Financial. As we know, Corebridge has been the support financial services company for Golf Retirement Plus and for deferred compensation. I want to encourage you to take a look at deferred compensation. If you're not getting involved with that, this is free money for you to earn by doing various things in our association that will go towards your retirement funds when you get to age 65. So please look at getting involved. But more importantly, we're in the final stages of working with them to provide all of you with a retirement planning guide. As we've looked at the ages of our membership and where we're getting to, we've got a lot of members starting to sunset their career, and they're needing some help getting ready for retirement. But that is not just for you. That is for everybody in this room. I don't care what age you are. It's always important that you're looking at what you're going to be needing when it comes to retirement time in your life. And so we're in the final stages of working with them to work on this guide, and we got a full review of it at the PGA Merchandise Show, and we're all really impressed and really happy with what they're going to be doing and what they're going to be providing. So I just need you to watch for it on PGA.org, on the emails we send on the 5 for Fridays at times. You're going to see more information when that comes. So please be looking out for that. The next thing we've been working on, it's an idea that we've been working on since last fall. All of us in career services, we're in the early stages of testing concepts for what we're going to call the career profile, which will live on PGA.org. Over the past few weeks, and then in the next few weeks, we've been conducting focus groups, which we finished that in Georgia. Just want to say thanks to those that raised their hand to help. But we've worked with various PGA classifications within these focus groups to get feedback to help us with completing this project. And I wanted today just share with you a 30,000-foot view of the prototype and help you understand how it's going to help you further in your career. So this is just a quick view of the top of the page, and later on after I get through with this, Michael is going to actually pull up the actual site, the prototype site, for us to go through and look. But there's 5 concepts that we're working on putting in the career profile to help you. The first one is compensation benchmarking. So one of the most frequent questions I get asked, and our team gets asked, is where do I stand compared to my peers? How am I doing in my compensation compared to everybody else? So this tool in the career profile, it will replace that guesswork for you with real-time percentile-based ranking of your total compensation with others in your particular classification and what you're doing work-wise. at your facility. So, and then by updating your own compensation, there's a second time I've mentioned it, data, you're going to be able to unlock instant readout that's going to compare you to others in your classification, your same facility type, and the region that you're living in. And this just isn't about a number, it's about providing you with some data-backed negotiation tool. You'll see there at the bottom of it, there's a negotiation guide you can click on, and we'll give you opportunities to look at ways that you can negotiate with your employer to take to them or your board to help you advocate for your market value. And you'll be able to download this once you complete your compensation profile and get all this information. The second one is a skills assessment and gap analysis. This tool maps your scores of 1 to 5 across 16 core competencies directly against the requirements of a target role that you might have. The one you see here, we did for a general manager at a private club. And so by combining the self-assessment with validated peer or mentor feedback that you can receive when doing this, this tool is going to help you visualize your strengths as well as help you identify weaknesses in the top areas where you need to improve. And then you and myself, or other career consultants you may want to work with, can then work towards a plan to help you close these gaps in your skills assessment and help you get to where you want to go in your goals in your career. Third concept is facility performance data. We all know that your professional success is often inseparable from the health of the businesses that you run. That's so important. And so this dashboard will allow the highest ranked professional at a facility to put in facility metrics like rounds, total revenue, golf shop sales, for you and everyone at your facility to be able to see how your facility compares to other clubs. Now I know many of you and myself, I use all of the information that's provided by the National Golf Foundation and club benchmarking. We use those tools as well in career services, but this is going to be able, hopefully, to integrate all of those benchmarks into your career profile. And then the goal really is to provide a savable report that you can print out and then show to your employer to prove your operational impact and the facility performance that they have seen since you've been at that facility. Concept 4, so resume and cover letter generator. So this is a tool that will create a draft of your resume and cover letter by leveraging all of the information that you have put into your career profile, like your skills, your facility data, your compensation data. And this generator drafts professional documents for your resume and cover letter instantly. And then you'll be able to take that, work with me, and do any changes that might be needed to perfect it. But you simply upload a specific job description that you're looking at, a targeted job, and then choose the tone or style that you want for this, and it produces a high-quality draft that'll be available for you and tailored to that specific position that you might be applying for. And it operates on the principle that the better information you put in, like your compensation data, that's 3, you provide in your profile, the more professional and targeted the output's going to be when you generate this resume. And then our 5th concept that we've proposed for the career profile is an AI interview caddy. You know, when I look at it, interviews are probably the highest stake moments in our careers, and yet we really don't get to practice interviews a whole lot. So this AI interview caddy, it acts as a hiring committee conducting conversational mock interviews based on your resume, specific job description that you provide that you might be applying for. And it doesn't just ask questions, it will provide immediate feedback, caddy-like advice, so you got a caddy there, on your performance. It'll critique your talking pace, how fast you've talked, how slow you've talked. It will use your filler words such as ah, those kind of things that you might be using when talking, and how well you address the must-haves of the role that you want to apply for. And so it's a safe, private space to really sharpen your message before you walk into the club for an interview. So Michael, can we go ahead and pull up the prototype? Okay, so here's our prototype for this that will live on your career profile on PGA.org. So there at the top, right away you're going to see top job matches that are out there for you at this time based upon what you put in for your career preferences in PGA.org. So you can see there's 2 there. You notice the different colors. The green is the best match for you right now at this time based upon all the information. So we're working with Dylan here. So Dylan, this is his best match right now based upon the skills and such that he's put into his career profile. And right there from the head golf professional, Michael, could you click on start? Yeah, there you go. So that takes you right to the interview caddy. And you can see here in the interview caddy, you've got the report on how well you did, talks about how many filler words you used, and then how you met up with the job requirements checklist. And then we'll provide an executive summary for you, what was strong, where do you need to improve, as well as what questions were asked when you went through the interview caddy. And so this will give you a game plan to prepare for that interview for a particular position that you might be interested in looking at. Okay, Michael, can we hit back button, please? Okay, great, and scroll down. Okay, so this right here lists your current experience. Michael, could you click the one that says facility performance data, please? All right, so here's where you'll put in the facility performance data. And there'll be more information coming to this. Once again, this is a prototype, so there'll be more facility data that you can input. We're still working on all of that based upon what we hear from our focus groups. But you can see down at the bottom, it's got a comparison to other clubs and how you're doing against other clubs, as well as there in the middle, where you are in the percentile, if you're behind or ahead, facilities that are like your facilities in the Georgia section, so you can choose a region and such. Okay, Michael, we're good there. All right, as we scroll down, then here's compensation. Here's where you put in your compensation information. That's the 4th time I've mentioned it. So update your My Data is where you'll go there to put that in. And then you can input your awards and such that you've done. Here's our skills profile. Scroll down just a little bit there. All right, so after you complete the skills profile and you've put in a specific facility information that you're interested in applying for, it'll provide this chart for you, and then you're going to see it'll list your top skills and what areas you have strengths, and then you'll be able to go down and be able to see career planning. Here are things that I need to be doing, keep going there, where my gaps are. These are my priority gaps and areas where I need to work on things to improve, to be able to be ready to apply to this next position. And then you're going to get a learning path with information on classes, on programs and things like that you can participate in, and all of that information. And then you have event participation, things you've participated in the past. So next steps on this is once we complete all of our focus groups around the country, we're going to use that information to work on the build out of this and hopefully officially launch this for all of us at the annual meeting this November. And we've been working on it since last November, and we just felt as Career Services we needed to hear from more professionals as we worked on this. So more to come on this, and this is really going to end up being a robust, user-centered career profile that supports all of you in your career development and helps us as Career Services and your career consultants work more with you to help you improve. All right. Thanks, Michael. I'm good. All right, also want to talk a little bit about PGA Executive Search. Want to remind you about the PGA Executive Search and all of that we can offer you and your employers in search processes. I want to remind you of the steps involved here in our searches. We can discuss advantages of this process for employers today, but I really wanted to stress the significance of this for all of you should you become candidates looking at positions and how we can help you in that process. And as a candidate in the search, you're going to get personal personalized support from us as PGA career consultants during the search that you might be applying for. And this really benefits all of you by getting the best and highest paid compensation positions as you go through the executive search process in our industry. And really, this helps out your peers as well when you go through this. And so this is just all due to the extensive market and compensation analysis that we do during an executive search or an advanced search process. So at this time, I wanted to ask Justin Japor to come up. He has been an executive search client in the past, and I just asked him to come up real quick and tell you how this benefited them and him as director of golf at Sunset Hills Country Club as he went through that process.
Hello, everybody. My name is Justin Japor. I'm the director of golf at Sunset Hills Country Club in Carrollton. And Doug was very instrumental in helping me land my current assistant. In November of 24, we had a transition taking place, and I posted the job on the job board like we all do, and reached out to my network to find out if there's any assistants that were ready to move up, maybe take on some more responsibility. And I found that everyone that I spoke to was all looking for assistance as well, or looking for other people in their operations, so they didn't really have anybody that they could move forward over to Sunset. So I called Doug, and we were talking about kind of the issues that I was having, because I wasn't getting really a response from the job posting or my networking. So we started talking about the executive search, talking about the benefits, who it could reach, as far as the net that they cast can be as narrow or as broad as you want. And we went with a pretty broad cast that we threw out there, because I just wasn't sure it was available. I didn't see a whole lot coming in. So I would get applications from Texas, Colorado, Michigan, Alabama, both of the Carolinas, Florida, and actually had one out in Utah. So as these applications would come in, one of the best features that I enjoyed about the executive search was the ranking of the candidates based on what you're looking for specifically. And while I still looked at every applicant and their resume that came in, because there could be something in there that I really liked and wanted to speak to them about, it really, the executive search ranking was very, very good for me. If it looked like they were an 86% fit, then more than likely I spoke to them. And I ended up doing about 10 interviews online, and I narrowed it down to 3 searches on property. And actually, the gentleman that we did pick was the number one the number one candidate in the ranking. So it fit our profile specifically to a T. Without Doug, I probably would have struggled a good bit more. This person's from Colorado, which I know I wouldn't have gotten this person to come to Georgia, because they weren't exactly looking at the job board to make a move to the southeast. But the communication that the executive search team used throughout the country to target those professionals that had skills, the skills that I was looking for, was instrumental. And I would encourage anybody that's got staffing needs to think about executive search, because the right candidate is out there. It just may not be right in your backyard, and they were worth every penny that we spent, and it really wasn't all that much looking back at it. So if you have any questions, obviously Doug is the man. If you have any other questions for me on other experiences I had with it, I'd be happy to talk to anybody. But it was a great search for Sunset Hills, and I would encourage you to talk to Doug.
Thanks, Justin. And just with our executive search, one of the things I just want to remind you of, over the past couple of years, we've really expanded our search services beyond all of the traditional golf operational roles. The positions you see on the slide is just a short list of that. These expanded search services, definitely include food and beverage now, chef searches, golf course superintendents, controllers. So I'd just like to mention also that our fee-based services generally are 2 to 3 times less than the other search firms that you see out there. So do me a favor, please scan this QR code, update your compensation profile, get those phones out. That's the 5th time I've mentioned it. I urge you to get it done. Once again, I use this information weekly to assist all of you with open positions, negotiating your compensation with employers. So it's important that you do that. If you're a leader in an operation, please make sure your staff's doing this for me. Okay, your assistants, all of those working underneath you, make sure they get this done. Finally, I know I've had a lot of time, so thank you for that. But, with this quote, James Clear, that I have for you up here, this reminds us, trust is built through consistency, whether in business or relationships, delivering quality and reliability over time is what truly earns trust. Consistent actions are real proof of trustworthiness. Work hard on the consistency in your work and personal relationships, and you'll be very successful. Thanks for the time. Matt, Lauren, and I will be at the show tomorrow if you want to see any of us. And please, have an amazing 2026. And I can't tell you how much of a privilege it is to serve as your PGA career consultant. Thank you.
Let's go ahead and introduce Matt Hiner for our PGA recruitment report.
Good afternoon, everybody. I appreciate you guys having me here today. My name is Matt Hiner. I am the Recruiting and Member Engagement Specialist for the PGA of America. I oversee several different sections. I oversee recruiting for the Georgia section here, as well as Tennessee, Alabama, Northwest Florida, Gulf States, and North and South Florida, in case we haven't been introduced quite yet. I'm also Doug's doppelganger here, too. That being said, I just want to also take you guys through a quick overview of our year for 2025. We had a great year for the recruiting team for 2025. We actually attended less events than we normally have over the years, but we did have more event impressions, over 35,000, as well as a little bit under 3,000 leads for our event attendance for 2025. 343 jobs that we were able to fill in the golf industry in some form or fashion in 2025, which takes our total up to a little bit over 1,300 since we've been keeping track of these numbers since October 2021. For 2025 as well, our team also handled a little bit over 1,600 work in golf consultation calls. These are phone calls that anybody from the public can put into our team to talk about careers in golf, PGA membership, anything along those lines. And on top of that, we've also increased our database to over 49,000 individuals. These are individuals that we're currently operating and communicating with on a monthly basis through newsletters, hot jobs that we send out, resources, how to get started, more information on that side, as well as quarterly surveys checking in where they're at within their career path and whether they have pursued golf or PGA membership on top of that. Historically, as you guys may be aware or not, our team has also focused on what's called prospect registration. Anybody that signs up for the PQ, the pre-qualifying level with the PGM program, our team is actively reaching out to those folks as well. On top of that, in addition to all the hard work that you guys do on a daily basis at your facilities with a small hand from our team, our main focus was filling the funnel for golf industry employment over the years. Safe to say, I think all of you may be aware, that funnel is a little bit full right now. Just as you guys can see from prospect registrations over the years, in 2021 we had a little bit over 2,500 registrations. As of 2025, we had 3,900. So those are just a testament to see how much has grown over the years. For associates as well, we've noticed that growth on top of that. 2021, we had a little bit over 3,600, and for 2025, we noticed 8,300 active associates. So if you notice some of those numbers, that has resulted in a 130% increase in associates, affiliates, and students since 2021. Because of that, we want to make sure that we are going to be getting those people through the program as much as we possibly can. So for 2026, our team is going to have a little bit of a different focus. Rather than attending just recruiting events, trying to get more people interested in golf or PGA membership, the goal is going to be to get these associates through the program as quickly as we possibly can. Because of that, you may know some of these numbers as well, but graduation rate for the entire program is 35%. Out of the 83 or so hundred associates that we have right now, 80% of them are in level 1. So with that, our focus is primarily going to be on level 1 for our associates for 2026, partnering with career consultants like Doug, Lauren as well on the player engagement side. If we can help any associates that are involved in PGM programming, that's going to be our focus, working with sections, committees. Elizabeth, I was able to attend an event with Elizabeth and Doug actually a couple weeks ago here in Atlanta, and we'll continue to do that for our sections that we support. With that, we'll also provide some updates on what's going on with our associate programming. Real quick, Cary may touch on this in a little bit, but we do have a new associate dashboard for our PGM associates. These are folks that are involved in 3.1, not 3.0. If you have anybody that's in 3.0, unfortunately, they probably don't have this quite yet, but it will be rolled out to the entire program at some point. But this is a great way to keep track of progress, a good touch point on where they're at within every given level. It lays out all of the remaining requirements that they need to complete as they go forward, and something to keep in mind as far as making sure that your associates are staying on track too. On top of that, quick update as far as our team. It's just some projects that we're working on our side. MakeGolfYourCareer.org. This is a website that our team actually has taken on. This was a former partnership between the World Golf Foundation, other organizations like the PGA Tour, the USGA, Augusta National. The goal on this front was, hey, we don't care who you're working for. If you're working in golf, we'll count that as a win. So because of that, with the work that our team is doing, we figured this was a quick and easy win for us to kind of take this on and be that front line for golf industry employment. So MakeGolfYourCareer.org, it's a fantastic resource for anybody and everybody who just, might not want a green grass job. They maybe want a manufacturing job or, a PGA Tour or a sales position, what have you. So we want to be able to be a resource for those that are also looking to grow within other parts of the industry, just based off the conversations that we're having with these folks already. It's a great website. There's 1,000+ jobs on here already. We are growing our partner list on a daily basis. There is a resume database for employers to take a look through, a career planning profile or portal for candidates as well. And this is just a small snapshot of the partners that we're working with on this front. There is a QR code if you guys are curious and you want to check it out. If you have jobs that you would like to post on there as well, please come talk to me. Would love to connect with you on that side. And beyond that, as Doug mentioned, I will be with Lauren and Doug tomorrow at the show. Please stop by if you guys have any questions on associate advancement, getting involved in the program. Please come talk to me. I've got a QR code here if you'd like to send me a text. I do also have some recruiting materials tomorrow if you guys want to take some back to your facilities. But other than that, appreciate you guys having me be here. Let me know if any questions come up. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we're going to introduce Lauren Lasprilla for the PGA Player Engagement Report. And I believe we have a few panelists coming as well.
Come on up. Good afternoon. My name's Lauren Lasprilla. As they get started getting ready here, just a couple things from me. I'm your player engagement consultant, so I work with PGA Junior League, PGA Family Golf, and PGA Coach. Instead of putting a presentation up this year, I just wanted to have a couple of our professionals share what they're doing with their programs, some really special things. And we will have a QR code at the end. It won't be a live Q&A, but if you do have any questions while they are speaking about their programming, you'd love to connect with one of them or with me, we'd be happy to answer any questions you all have about anything player engagement. So feel free to scan that when it does go up. We'll connect with you afterwards. But if you guys just want to go ahead and introduce yourselves, where you're at, where you're from.
Yeah, how's it going? My name is Jason Kuiper. I'm the Director of Instruction at Bobby Jones Golf Course.
I'm Elizabeth Clarkson, the General Manager for the Chimneys Golf Course.
And I'm Lisa Rogers. Wow, this is loud. I'm the head golf professional at Bentwater Golf Club.
Awesome. I'm just going to have you all share a little bit about your programs, where you started, where you're at now, anything special you want to share.
Yeah, so we started PGA Junior League when the course opened. That was about 7 years ago. We started with just one program that first year. We had, just maybe 20 or so kids, and it's really grown over the years. This past year, we had over 400 kids in our PGA Junior League program. We've had 10 different leagues that we've run. We were number 1 in Georgia and number 5 in the country, so we're super proud of that for PGA Junior League. How we structure the leagues is with the 10 leagues. The unique ones is we had the Opportunity League for the Harrah program this past year. That was really fun. We did a Winter League that was brand new this year, just on our Par 3 course. But our main leagues are we run 2 leagues in the spring and 2 leagues in the fall. The main leagues are 64 kids, and they play a 4-week season. So we also do the older kids on the big course, and we do the younger kids on the Par 3 course called Cup Length. So a lot of unique ideas and a lot of innovation. We've failed a lot of times too, but just working through all that to find what works for our facility.
Any staffing tips with such a big program?
Well, it's an embarrassment of riches where I'm at. I've got a great team of instructors. I have seven just teaching pros at the Grand Slam Golf Academy. So they all do a great job for me. Some of them are here today. I also use helpers. We do a lot of like high school and college kids that help out with our summer camps, and they help out with PGA Junior League as well.
So our program at the Chimneys is much smaller. We only started a few years ago. This will be our third full season, or full year doing the program, but we started very small. Our largest season so far was last spring. We had 19 kids. We just opened up our spring program again for registration, so we're hoping, our goal is to hit 24 for this spring. But we're slowly growing the program at the Chimneys, and we do most everything primarily in-house. Every once in a while, we will take our team to a neighboring facility. That's not too far of a drive for our parents, but for the most part, everything we do is at our facility, and we just love using the Junior League format and platform as a way of gaining youth golf at the Chimneys. So it's we don't have an all-star team. We don't necessarily know that we're going to have one of those anytime soon, but we love our small program, and our parents are really enjoying it. We're seeing a lot of repeat kids.
Awesome. Something Elizabeth and I talk about is being in-house with the smaller program. There is a misconception that you have to have a large program to be an in-house league. And so if you're ever wondering if you're ready to get started with PGA Junior League, if you're maybe not sure you have enough kids, you can always do it in-house. Smaller, there is no limit of how many kids you have to have. So it's a great flexible way of doing everything in-house. Lisa?
I started my program when I started at Bentwater as a teaching professional in 2019. We only had 8 kids that first year. Little discouraged, but I was bound and determined to make it grow. And I think last year we had somewhere between 40 and 50 kids participate in our program at the club, both members and non-members. I run it as sort of a hybrid program where we do an in-house component for my younger kids. They play primarily at Bentwater. And then my older kids will travel and they play against other clubs in the area. So you can really, I've taken my program and I've designed it to kind of what works for us at the club. And I run, like Jason, I run spring. I run a 9U division, or I did the template in the fall. I run a 13U and then a 17U. So I run all 3 divisions, both spring and fall, and actually did a winter training program this year as well.
Amazing. Any tips, best practices, or things you've tailored with the program to fit your players and your facilities?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just working with the facility management to find, best times for using tee times, creating the proper revenue share so that nobody's losing out and there's no hurt feelings as far as that. I think the demand is there. Just literally as I was sitting here before the meeting, I had to turn away 3 kids who want to do the program, but my spring program is full. I got 150 kids signed up. I can't take any more. So there's a lot of opportunity there for other neighboring programs to just put it out there. The demand is definitely there. Being creative, like these guys said, like I start the program at age 4 through 6. They're on the par 3 course. That fills up. They love that. The parents want those younger kids doing it too. So the program is very flexible for ages and days and times. You can pretty much do whatever you want, whatever's going to work for your facility.
So Lauren and I were speaking earlier today, and I think one of the things that's most important to kind of let you guys at least ponder on a little bit is that I think the name PGA Junior League to an extent is a bit of a misnomer. It can be a league if you want it to be a league. You can travel with your team if you want to, but our biggest sell to our parents for the most part is that they don't have to travel, that it's all going to be in-house. And we still use the PGA Junior League platform for the uniforms, and the kids feel like they're part of a team, even though we're not necessarily a competitive league. And then especially because every single one of us has associates that at some point we're trying to either pay them more money or they're asking for more money. You know, it is such a great way, especially for us to engage our associates with a nice revenue share. I enjoy the extra revenue myself, but you know, it's you working with your associates and a great platform for them to increase their income easily.
So my tip is that I have a lot of flexibility for practices. I think that's one of the biggest hurdles for people joining, because I have two nephews. They play soccer. Practices are Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday. So if you only hold your practice on one night per week, and let's say they're playing soccer, they can't come and participate in your program. So I actually offer up a choice of 2 different nights, Wednesday or Thursday. And yes, that does mean I'm working more hours. But it also offers flexibility to the families to have their child not only play soccer, but also come and play golf as well. So it opens up, you know, just extra opportunities for me. I think the great thing about PGA Junior League, I run it as strictly a developmental program. We do a lot of the components of the program, but again, like Elizabeth, we're never going to field an all-star team, okay? I tell my kids all the time, I'm not about winning and losing. I just want you to get better at golf. If you come, you get 1% better every day. That's what I want from you guys. I want you guys to have fun. They wear their jerseys 24/7. My kids at my club, they come to practice. They wear them like a badge of pride. They love them. So use it. And I use it, honestly, at my club. We've gotten, over the years, probably 10 memberships out of it. So I let non-members come, and it's been a great leverage point for me to bring in memberships and just be like, hey, this is, you know, what I'm doing for the club to increase revenue.
Amazing. And then if finally you could just touch on maybe anything you're doing with PGA Family Golf that ties in, or PGA Coach, how you're utilizing that.
Yeah, PGA Coach has been great. That's been really evolved over the last couple of years to make the registration process for PGA Junior League easier, taking the payments online. That's all been really good. And then also with PGA Family Golf. So we do that every single year too. We've done PGA Family Golf the last 4 years. We do it like a series. So we do like a 3-week series. The first 2 weeks are on the par 3 course as a 2-person scramble, and then we do the big course for the final week as a modified par 3. So again, that's just a lot of fun. The families love it. They tell me that's their most favorite thing. The parents come up to me, and it's the best day of their years, hanging out with their kids on the golf course. So again, very flexible. You can really do whatever you want. You know, get creative. And if you just put it out there, they're going to sign up. They're going to sign up. Everything just, it fills up, especially when you talk about, and most of you are probably parents in the room, you know, how much money do you spend on yourself versus how much money do you spend on your kid? I know for me, it's a big difference. So the parents are going to sign up for that stuff for their children, and if they can be involved too, they're all for it.
So we do not yet do family golf, but what I will say is that we have so many of our existing PGA Junior League players now playing golf with their parents on a regular basis because they're learning at the Chimneys. And so we're seeing more of that in activity, and I think it's something we could definitely develop in the future. But it's just nice to see how it's so true, where if you get them practicing and learning at your facility, they will patron your facility as golfers as well.
I'm all in on PGA Coach. I use the plus portion of it. It's been a game changer for me. I wear kind of 2 hats, teaching and as the head golf professional. It's made my communications with my players and families so much easier than it was before. I use one platform to communicate. They know it's coming from there. PGA Family Golf has been great. I use it a little bit differently. We'll do a couple throughout the year that's open to my entire membership, and then I'll run one event at the end of our PGA Junior League season where it's just strictly for my PGA Junior League families, where their families can come and play and hop in with them on the golf course.
Amazing. Thank you all so much. I just wanted you to hear a little bit from the people who are putting these programs on and really doing some special things with PGA Junior League, PGA Coach, and PGA Family Golf. So like I said, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself. But I also know you all are always welcome to reach out to these coaches, and I can connect you with people in your area who are doing the program if you want to connect with them and ask them any questions. So we do have a code that you can scan. I can always pass questions on to these three as well as myself, and I'll be here tomorrow at the merchandise show if you want to do a deep dive into coach, junior league, family golf, or anything else player engagement. But thank you all so much. And Lisa and Jason, also congratulations, 2025 Game Changer Award winners for the Georgia section. So thank you very much.
At this time, I'd like to introduce our District 13 Director, Mr. Cary Brown.
My name is Cary Brown. I'm your District 13 Director, so I'm representing Georgia, North Florida, and South Florida. It's been a thrill for me to start my actual service back in November, so I had a full shadow year last year, which was valuable for me because it let us be in the boardroom and really see what happens at that level so that we could hit the ground running. Wanted to start by giving you guys a little bit of a state of the game, where we're standing. On course, an estimated 29.1 million people played on-course golf in 2025. That's the 8th straight year of gains. So the game of golf is really doing well. Off course, there was a total of 37.9 million, which is a 5% increase year over year. So we're seeing that trend to continue to grow as well. Total participation, we had 48.1 million. That's insane to me, but what I want you guys to understand is that it's your work that you do every day that is creating this excitement. So I want to thank everybody in this room for the hard work that you guys do every day, because the game of golf is surely in a strong position. Never used the clicker before. Very exciting, the PGA show. We had nearly 34,000 people at the PGA show. It was the largest show we've had in 16 years. Badge scans were up 4% this year. There were more than 8,200 PGA professionals that showed up, and we almost had 1,200 vendors. So a lot of excitement at the PGA show. It was very, very successful. Hopefully everybody there got to attend. PGA of America Board of Directors has appointed Terry Clark to be our new CEO. It's been a pleasure to serve with Terry on the board for the last 2 years. Terry is a proven transformational leader, and he is really going to bring some stability in that role. He served as an independent director on the PGA Board of America Board of Directors since 2024. He has a lot of experience with the tour. I call Terry the Where's Waldo of golf. Sometimes you'll see him just in the middle of nowhere at the TGL event that we just had. He's there. You see him on television. His relationship with the tour, I think, is going to really help us solidify that, and I'm super excited that he's going to be our new CEO and leading us. Ryder Cup. As we look ahead to 2027, there are many things we're excited about. The PGA Ryder Cup committee is made up of 6 individuals, 2 officers, Nathan Carnes and Eric Eshelman, and PGA CEO Terry Clark will be on that. 3 player representatives, Keegan Bradley, Jordan Spieth, and Justin Thomas. The PGA Ryder Cup committee is met in providing feedback and is considering recommendations regarding our captain. We haven't decided who that's going to be yet, but look for that announcement to come soon. The golf ball. So we're still working with the USGA and all our allied associations to figure out what we're going to do here. We are no longer using the term rollback. Based on the area of interest statement issued by the USGA and the RNA, the single implementation date in 2030 for the proposed conforming golf ball would be a good step in the right direction if adopted for the PGA of America golf professional and the recreational golfers we serve. So we're seeing that the data that the USGA is providing, the rollback or the distance measurements are not quite as big as they were when we first started. So I think that we're headed in the right direction, and we're going to continue to work with all our allied associations to figure out what's best for our PGA professionals. Some great news here. The Arthur Blank Family Foundation, in partnership with the PGA Tour Superstore, has provided $7.6 million in grant funding over 3 years to the PGA America Reach Foundation to enhance the organization's programming. That's going to be big news for the state of Georgia and Scott Geary and the team. A lot of that money is going to be able to stay here in Georgia and create some exciting things for our foundation here in Georgia. I think Scott will probably provide some of that information when he gives his report. PGA membership. So we have over 24,000 PGA of America members and are continuing to see that number increase year over year. 62 member increase in December 2025 from 24,670 from December 24, 24,608 now. So we see some student numbers from our PGM programs. They continue to rise, and we're excited about how that is moving forward. I'm going to kind of hurry up here because Scott Geary says we're a little bit behind. During its third year since inception, deferred compensation is providing retirement resources for our members. Over $4.9 million has been deposited to be paid out for PGA members in the first 4 years of the program. Members can earn up to $1,500 a year, which can compound and make a meaningful impact over the years. There's still time to sign up and earn points. Just scan the QR code on the screen. Your career services, obviously, we just had a bunch of information provided for us. Doug Wert does a great job for us in our section, and if you scan the QR code there, you'll also see some more information on that. Your personal support team, like I was talking, Lori and Doug, they're here to help you. So please contact them anytime that you need some support there. This is your national support member team. If you want to take a picture of that slide, obviously any of those people are here at the national level to help you on a day-to-day basis. This is your national leadership. I think everybody knows in the room. And again, I'm here to answer any questions. I think we're going to save some any questions you may have for me about national manners for the open forum, so just so we can get caught up. But thank you, everybody. It's a thrill for me to represent you. And if anybody wants to come up to me after the meeting, I'll be here to answer any questions personally.
All right. Thank you, Cary Brown. At this time, we're going to move into our secretary's report with Miss Elizabeth Clarkson.
Okay, good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. First of all, just news from the governance committee. I'm happy to share that we have officially opened up tournament registration across chapter lines after voting in a change to our bylaws. Our goal was to preserve the integrity of our events, but allow members and associates the opportunity to participate in tournaments in both chapters if they desire. So please note that chapters may prioritize members within their principal chapter by controlling registration entry dates and deadlines. Also, members may only participate in chapter championships within their principal chapter, again, and preserving the integrity of those events. Overall, this change in our bylaws should help enhance registration and tournament purses, especially for our South Chapter tournaments. We are excited to have our annual Georgia PGA Women's Summit coming up on March 11th at the Atlanta Athletic Club. So please invite any ladies in the industry to join us, PGA member or otherwise. It is open to anybody that would be interested. So please share that information with any ladies that would like to attend. As for an update on our Georgia PGA mentoring efforts, our study hall program continues to be a great success. I'd like to thank Sean Kane and Chad Parker for recently hosting study hall events at their facilities. It is such a treat to be able to see the best of our membership and the best of our section facilities at these. The associates in attendance at our study halls are so grateful and thankful, again, to those that have hosted an event already, and we encourage all of you to please push your associates to attend future events. Most importantly, what I'm excited about to introduce today, or to kind of enhance, Michael, can we show the associate page, please? Yes. So our associate communication is also improving for our section with the update to our Georgia PGA website. We mentioned this at the annual meeting in September, but we have now officially enhanced our associate page on the Georgia PGA website. So I'd like to thank Sloan Aubrey for her work on enhancing this tool for our section. This is brand new, so I'm sure the majority of you have not seen this yet, but I encourage you to check it out and take the time to quickly browse to see what is offered here. But this is not only a tool for our associates, but it's a tool for you as well who mentor associates at your facilities. So please become familiar with our new associate page. As we know, the PGM program has changed significantly from when most of us completed it. Our new associate page is now your tool to offer your associates the answers to many of these questions. So just a few highlights to point out what we have here. So we have helpful links, including event calendars for playing opportunities, taking the PAT, our level 2 and level 3 seminar dates, and then just general information for the associate program. Most impressive on here, and thank you to those of you who are listed, is our 2 areas where you're going to find volunteer member mentors who will be helping associates with specific PGM program tasks, such as including like shadowing a lesson, which is a required part of level 1. Associates can also find a list of members that they can speak to about their specific career paths, including, I mean, you name it, golf operations, instructors, retail merchandisers, independent inside sales reps. Again, for those of you who have volunteered to be on this list and have your contact information publicly advertised, thank you so much for doing that for our associates. And then lastly, our newly formed membership committee is committed to new associate and new member recognition. Things like this morning where we have new members attending with past presidents is an amazing opportunity. So if you have any associates now who will be rolling in as members for the annual meeting next year, please encourage them to attend an event like that. It was really special, and it's something that we're going to continue to develop and do more things like that. So that being said, quick raise of hands. Who here has an associate with them here today? Okay, I do. All right. Thank you for those of you who brought an associate. This is a tremendous turnout. It's one of the biggest meetings I think I've actually attended, which is great. But this meeting is not just for members. This is for associates too. We need to get more of them in the room to show them what we do and get them more involved. So just my little encouragement nudge there to please invite your associates in the future to these things, because it just takes so much, it's little effort, but it really goes a long way with showing them what we do and helping to develop the next generation of professionals. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Elizabeth. This time we're going to invite up Vice President, Mr. Mike Miller.
First of all, we had a great awards night Saturday night, and today we had a wonderful new member, Elizabeth just spoke about new member and past presidents luncheon. I was going to point out, but I think he had to leave, Dick Murphy, past president from 1980 and 81. I was thinking sitting in that room, what he's seen change about this meeting in this section in that 40-something years since he was president. So that was a great thing. We intend to keep that going. And in here today, we were having to bring some chairs in because it was a full room. That is a great thing to see. Along those lines, if you got feedback on this meeting or the merchandise show, anything that's going on, please let us know, because we listen to that feedback. Last year, if you were at this meeting, Tim Weinhardt stood up and said, why is there not more new members and associates here? And so we tried to do the new member luncheon to listen to that feedback and get that going. It was a success. They got a paddle with their initiation, if one of y'all want to hold that up. No, not initiate. We didn't paddle them. There wasn't any of that going on. But just something they can hang in their office with their initiation date when they became a member. A little something to show their pride in the Georgia PGA. So we even changed the seating in here today. It's more of a classroom style. If you want Dr. Peppers instead of Coke, let us know that. If you're a weirdo and want Pepsi, we're not going to do that. So, but anyway, any feedback is welcomed. We'd love to hear it. On the financial stuff, the events, as was said, are filling up much quicker nowadays. I was talking to BA out before. The South Chapter Pro-Am was full, 30 teams, and I think he said there was a wait list for a South Chapter Pro-Am. I haven't heard of that since I've been around. So if you wanted to sign up for the Section Pro on March 10th, too bad it's on a wait list. It's been on a wait list for about 2 weeks now. So things are rocking and rolling with tournaments. Along that lines, our increase this year in tour dollars, so we get money from the PGA Tour, and those goes back into championships, our Head Pro Championship, Assistants Championship, the Senior Section Championship, the Senior Junior Championship, and the Section Championship all have increases in the purse from that increase in those tour dollars. It's up just over $16,000 in what we're getting back from them this year. So with that said, our finances are in a good position. The packets in the QR code, you can scan it and take a look at all those numbers. We feel like they're in a good spot. But as things are growing, prices are going up, we need more staff to handle all of the events we have going on. So the board of directors did vote in December to go with a 3% dues increase for the next 3 years. And before anybody starts jumping and screaming, the last time we increased it was in 2019. And in 2019, the board voted to raise it $75. So we felt rather than put it off, wait down the road and have a huge increase like that, we felt it was more prudent to go with a small 3% increase. It's about $12 on average per member for this year, rather than a large sum increase that we had in 2019. So with that, I think that's everything I have. End on the bad news there, or do I need to go back and talk about Ted Fort's fans only page? But anyway, thank you all for being here. It's a great weekend. We hope to see you tomorrow at the merchandise show. And if you are at the merchandise show tomorrow, go visit the vendors and consider one of the vendors that you haven't brought into your shops, and just let them know, say thank you for being there, because they base their participation in that on how many people come by and see them and how much business they book. So if you can bring in one product from one vendor tomorrow that you have never had in your shop, that goes a long way. So we'd appreciate it. Thank you, and I'm proud to serve as your vice president.
I guess it's my turn here. I won't introduce myself, but for the president's report, I just want to start off and say thank you to the section staff. If you recall, our last meeting was in September of last year. We had shifted to one meeting a year, and we're doing it in the fall. After hearing some feedback and looking what made the most sense for both the merchandise show as well as for our member schedules and getting a room like this where we have over 165 people in here, we decided to shift and go to this February setup. That's a short turnaround for sure, about 180 days, a half a year to get this off the ground, to have the highest participation we've had from a vendor standpoint, from a registration standpoint, to shift venues for the awards and to pull it all together in one weekend. I just want a round of applause for the section staff for being able to pull that off. And I do want to say thank you to those that are here today. As I said, having 160, 170 people in a room that want to hear updates from their organization. It shows engagement. It shows our new members that we were able to spend some time with today at lunch, that they are part of this bigger organization, but more importantly, that there are friends and peers and a network to be had in this room. And I enjoy this meeting as well as the next couple of days of seeing all the familiar faces. As Mike talked about, from a financial standpoint, the section is in a fantastic place. This has been, we've rode the momentum of not only the post-pandemic, but also some reorganization within the section. In the last 2 years, we have taken a deep dive into our bylaws. We've taken a deep dive into our Constitution. We've moved things around. This year, we changed up our committee structure, actually shrinking the total number of committees that we have to go with a more direct approach at solving the issues that face our organization. So I'm proud to hear that the financials match the great progress that we've made here at the section, but also that the impact that we're having on those that are in this room today. Again, the feedback that whether it's officers or the section staff gets, whether it's on our tournament programming, whether it's things like the new member social, whether it's the education opportunities that are out there within the section that Elizabeth and her team is heading up. The feedback that we are getting has been overwhelmingly positive, and I think it's because of a lot of work that's been done behind the scenes that I know Scott will talk about here shortly. Along those lines, I've been lucky over the last 6 months to bounce around and be out and about outside of our section, whether it's the District 13 meeting, whether it's at the PGA Championship, or whether it's at the Ryder Cup. And I do want to say, you should all be proud to be members of the Georgia PGA section. We are well represented out within the nation, and we are seen as leaders as PGA members, and we are being asked for feedback and ways that we can help other sections see some of the successes that we've had, whether it's the Hershot Opportunity League, whether it's the individuals that are up here winning the Game Changer Awards and talking about the impact they're making through instruction, or whether it's what we've gone through over the last 7 years with succession planning and presidents moving on to other opportunities. We've done some remarkable things, and I want you to know, being out and about throughout the country, Georgia is very well respected for that. Finally, before I turn it over to Scott, I will just plug a reminder that we will be meeting again about a year from now, and there are several elections that will be had that day. This is a little bit of an odd meeting that we don't have any elections today, but next year we'll be bringing on a new secretary, as I'll be rolling into the honorary position, as well as several at-large director positions. I would encourage you personally over the next year to ask questions, to get involved at the chapter level, get involved with the committee, or to ask any of the officers or board members what it is about serving that has put us into these positions. And I would say that the time that I've spent here, I've learned more and gotten more out of it than I feel that you could ever do without serving. So please do consider it. If you have somebody that you think would be a great fit, tap them on the shoulder, offer them up to go ahead and run for next year's elections, because we need great people. We've done a lot of great things, but we need to continue a great pipeline. And that's all I got. So at this time, I'll hand it over to our CEO, Mr. Scott Geary.
Thank you, Josh. This is always one of the most favorite times for me. You've heard about the good work that's going on in the section, and this is a chance to stand in front of you and give you a little more detail on that and celebrate everything that's been happening. If you did scan the QR code, in there is a written form of my report. I will not go through that word for word, but as you look at it, the first couple pages in there talk about our North Star stakeholder goals. So Josh talked about how we kind of condensed our committees. It felt a little bit like we kind of had some committees before that were meeting to meet, and where were they heading, those kind of things. We got this from National, but we went with sort of 4 pillars for our goals: the member, the game, the business, and the people. And in that, you could see there are several goals underneath each of these. All these goals are what your board of directors and committee members are working on. And we just had our planning session at the end of October. We laid these out. The committees we had to go through writing new bylaws. The committees were formed, so everybody's starting to hit the ground running now in Q1 and are knocking a bunch of these out. I think one of the biggest things under member is we are listening to you all. I thought Mike's example of what Tim said last year and us executing on it with the new member and past president's luncheon was spot on. Also, the moving of this meeting. We've tried as best as we can to find a time that works and to make sure it works for you all, make sure it works for our vendors in doing a merchandise show. I think we've done it. Having almost 180 people in this room is the largest since I've ever started. I think it's fantastic. And now when we have a year from this date for everybody to kind of prepare for it, I think those numbers will grow. The game. One piece that I think is really cool and is a good example of what I'm talking about here, our education committee actually formed 2 subcommittees under that. One of them focused on education like this week and webinars. The other focused on teaching and coaching and player development. And we're going to be having a teaching and coaching summit in the fall in November down at Sea Island. And we're going to run that every 2 years opposite National's kind of teaching and coaching summit in Orlando. So each year between Orlando and us, those who are involved with teaching and coaching will have an opportunity to go and learn. The business. I'd like everybody to look at the pieces of paper in front of you. In there, it talks about the Georgia PGA member club. So that right there, we're launching it officially today. That right there, we used to have a fundraising committee. It was made up of Bud Taylor, Brandon Beal, Scott Schroeder, and John Barrett from TBC Sugarloaf. Mike and I sat on it, and their feedback was, hey, you know, there's a number of organizations who we support, our club directly supports. Not just through dues, but the facilities themselves support those organizations. And, you know, something that, although we're in a tremendous financial position, we're always trying to figure out is tour dollars can go away, handicap dollars can go away. You know, we want to keep growing. How do we keep up with that? And so we decided to come up with this Georgia PGA Member Club. It's the opportunity for facilities where only Georgia PGA members are at to support the section directly. You can kind of see some of the details and what it gets you. There's sort of 2 levels to it. But I was doing the quick math, 180 of you, I'm sure everybody's signed up, so we probably just made $90,000 at that Eagle level, which is great. Thank you so much for the 90K. But no, and we lay out in there too what the section does and what you get as Georgia PGA members. We've all gotten the question before, you know, what does the PGA do for me, something like that. This lays out exactly what the section does for you. So we're very proud of that. Would encourage you, if you have a facility that you think would want to support, please go ahead and do that. We'll be reaching out more and more after this week about that. People, you heard it, enhancing our governance practices. The way we became more efficient with our committees, I think, is spot on. I also want to highlight your foundation. And I want to emphasize that. This is every one of our members in this room. This is every one of your foundations, PGA Reach Georgia. I was sitting down with a potential donor for lunch the other day, and he asked me, he goes, Scott, everybody's raising money right now in golf. What sets PGA Reach Georgia aside? And that was probably the easiest answer I could ever give. It's name another foundation in golf who every single program that they do and execute on and raise money for are executed by PGA professionals, the experts in the game. And that's what our foundation is. Every single program, every dollar we raise, every dollar that goes towards our programming are touched by, handled by, include a PGA professional. So you all need to take pride in that foundation. It's not only allowed us to do things at the section level, but hopefully it's put all of you who are involved with it in a better light in your community. It's given you maybe a new purpose with what you want to do with golf. And so we're really happy with the growth there. One of the ways we've done that is we've added trustees. So these are individuals who are very, very supportive of what we're trying to do. They don't vote, but they love what we're doing at the foundation level. We have 8 confirmed trustees already, a 9th one who is verbaled. And to give you an idea, that commitment is $100,000 over 4 years to be a trustee. And we've got 9 now committed over the next 4 years. That'll give us $900,000 coming to our foundation. So that really sets us up well for the future. A part of that and the gifts that they give, part of it goes directly into programming right away, and another portion of that goes into an endowment in the foundation to make sure that we are sustainable in perpetuity. I want to talk about just our pillars. Youth, our Georgia PGA Junior Tour. Every single event last year sold out and had a wait list, and right now we're on the same pace. And we kind of reached a point there where it was, oh no, how do we grow? How can we do this? Fortunately, we were able to bring on a partner in Edible Arrangements for $100,000 to support our Georgia PGA Junior Tour. So we're going to be adding some things to that, try and grow it, offer more opportunities to young kids to play at that competitive tour. Inclusion, you heard Elizabeth talk about the Women's Summits. Very, very excited for that. We launched it last year, had a great turnout. Now we're taking it to the Athletic Club in March. Expect a very good turnout as well. We got a title sponsor for it. Should be great. Our Her Shot program, which is run just like PGA Hope for young girls in need, it continues to grow. Our partner in that, her name is Bria Janelle. She's the on-court MC for Chicago Bulls basketball, Atlanta Dream, and she just was the on-court MC for the NBA All-Star Game, so we've got great partners supporting us in that. One of the coolest stories that from last year was the Drew. I know a number of you got to play in it and qualified to play in it. It truly was one of the coolest ways we could tell our story in combining our foundation and our section. After Drew passed, we wanted to do something in his honor, and the timing just came together well with one of our foundation board members wanting to put up dollars for our PGA professionals. I got to thank Eastlake for being willing to host it, for wrapping their arms around it, for those who went that even the night before the event that we did and then played in the Drew. It truly was really something special. I heard from a couple of the players that came in the night before, and they said, this feels like I'm going to a member guest, the way we're being treated right now. And they go, this is usually us on the other side doing it. It feels like we're being treated to a member guest. And we had a very, very competitive event. The top 4 in ties then played in a shootout on hole 18. And I think Drew up top had something to do with it, but the fact that Dan Merriman took the win, having replaced Drew at Eastlake, and Dan with his dad on the bag was truly something very, very cool. We're going to continue to grow that. We already have a plan to add a Pro-Am piece to that, to continue to raise dollars for the Drew Grant. More details will come out on the Drew Grant, but that is going to be aimed at providing finances to associates looking to become Class A Georgia PGA members. I know a lot of clubs help support it, but there's additional costs for hotel rooms, for going to seminars, for flights, for food, things like that we want to help take care of so that there's no hindrances to pursuing their membership. Last and certainly not least, you heard Cary talk about the Arthur M. Blank grant. So $7.6 million, it was the largest ever gift to the PGA of America. That didn't happen quickly. The discussions started in April last year and didn't get over the finish line until almost the end of December. One thing I was very excited about is I got to be in all of those negotiations and those talks. And one thing that Arthur felt very strongly about, and the dollars are aimed at PGA Hope as well as PGA Junior League. One of the things Arthur felt very strongly about was increasing PGA Hope and helping more veterans in the state of Georgia. And so of that $7.6 million, $725,000 of that over the next 3 years is earmarked for our foundation. And we need to be the best stewards of that as we can. Arthur, the way he does his gifts, he doesn't want to be the sole supporter of it in perpetuity. He wants to help reignite with some funds and then wants to be shown that we can go out and make it sustainable on our own. The announcement happened, and I got a text message and call and then had a lunch. That was the story I told about the gentleman asking what sets you apart, with the head of BlackRock. For those who may or may not know, BlackRock handles about $13 trillion in assets in the world. So being able to say, hey, we're tied in with Arthur M. Blank for PGA Hope is powerful. It helps us tell our story. With that said, here's the challenge before us. We have veterans, every one of our programs on a wait list. They want to be involved in PGA Hope. But to do that, we follow some would call it strict guidelines with PGA Hope. You have to be trained, Hope certified. You know, they keep a 5-to-1 veteran to instructor ratio for every program. We need more professionals to be Hope trained and to get involved, bar none. That's what we need. Our numbers that we have to hit for Arthur's dollars this year is to serve 500 veterans. We're already going to do that. We've had calls with all of our PGA Hope leads who currently do programs who have said, you know, their goal is to bring 1 to 2 more PGA professionals to get Hope certified and to come to their programs to help. By doing that, we're going to increase by 180 veterans if each one of them just does it. If we can get 10 in here, that's 50 more veterans. We need to serve 750 in 2027 and 1,000 in 2028, and I think we can do it. We just need your help. So I'm going to bring somebody up to ask for your help. I'd like him to join me on stage and just tell his story a little bit, but our 2025 Patriot Award winner, Jason.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, I'm just going to share a little bit about my journey with PJ Hope and basically help you all or ask you all for help and answering the call, and if you can join me in providing this great program. So first and foremost, if there was any veterans in the room, please stand and be recognized. Thank you for your service. The PGA of America and the military really have a great relationship within the PGA Hope program. Introduce myself again, like Scott said, my name is Jason Kuiper. I'm the Director of Instruction at Bobby Jones Golf Course. We have one of the largest programs in Georgia. We do 5 programs throughout the year. 4 of them are co-ed, where we serve 25 veterans, and then we do a unique one, which is actually a ladies-only program, where it's lady-only veterans and female-only instructors. We didn't start that big, though. In 2019, we started with 1 program, and it was 15 veterans. We had 3 pros. Now it's to where we're serving over 100 veterans a year. And over the past few years, we've served over 600 veterans. When we had our PJ Hope lead call, I went to my team and I said, okay, how do we do more? How do we up our numbers? And we're going to do that as well. We've been fortunate to have 4 PJ Hope ambassadors come out of our program at Bobby Jones Golf Course, which is incredible, and we've had 2 PJ Hope Cup teams out of our program, where you send a team to wherever the PGA Championship is and compete with other Hope programs across country. It's a pretty unique experience. I would just share with everybody, teaching PGA Hope is my favorite 2 hours of the week. You know, I teach 40 hours a week, but that's my favorite too, and it's also the most rewarding by far. And I guarantee you, if you talk to any Hope instructor in here, they would share that sentiment. You know, I do think it goes without saying how great this program is. You're saving lives. The veterans will thank you profusely. They're so appreciative of coming out to have this complimentary program. A little bit about myself. I'm not a veteran. I didn't serve. No one in my family served. I didn't have any friends that served. I didn't have any family that served, and that's okay. I'm still passionate about this program, and you don't have to be in that community to be able to support the program. As we increase these numbers, I'll just share with you a couple reservations that you may be feeling, and I just want to hopefully persuade you to jump in. Let's say, why can't you run a program? I'm not a strong teacher. That's okay. You don't have to be teaching 40 hours a week like me and my staff if you're not a strong teacher. The golf is a small portion of it. It's really about that camaraderie and just helping the veterans out. It's tough for us to block space or use tee times on my facility. Well, if you have someone there and the putting green is blocked for the PJ Hope program, just share that this is our veterans program and we're using the putting green right now. And I dare any person to have a problem with that. I don't have the space on my facility. Listen, you need a driving range, you need a putting green, and a golf course. Most of us have that. And you can get creative with the program. You don't have to, there's certain guidelines, but you can be creative with the program to make it work for your facility, and I know everyone here can do it. I don't have enough pros. There's only 1 or 2 PGAs at my facility. Well, team up. There's going to be other courses near you that 2 pros from this course and 2 pros from that course can come together and put a good program together. Also, hey, I'm in a rural area. There's not a big population. I'm not in the middle of Atlanta like Jason. There's not enough veterans. The amount of travel that these veterans will go to a program, long ways, hour. They'll drive an hour, hour and a half. It doesn't matter if you're in a rural program. They'll come to you, I promise. Adaptive golf makes me nervous. I don't know how to teach someone in a wheelchair or somebody with a limb loss. First of all, you will be trained. The training is amazing. They will help you be more comfortable. It made me nervous at first too. But I would share, number 1, you're going to be trained. And number 2, it's probably not as much as you would think. In all the veterans we've served, I've had just a couple wheelchair, just a few limb loss. It's really pretty minimal overall. The admin's a lot. I don't want to do all the admin. Well, with PGA Coach, that takes care of a lot of it for you. The PGA Coach program takes care of the registration, takes care of RSVPs. It takes care of communication to the veterans, so that makes it a lot easier. The admin is very, very simple. And then finally, just a couple thoughts of, I'm at a private club. The club won't let me do it. Well, you can go down the street to the next public course and help out, right? Go somewhere that can have a program. Just go through some classifications here. If you're a director of golf or GM, guess what? These programs need resources. So you can go to your board and you can go to your owner and you can ask for those resources in that time. If you're a head pro, your assistant pro, this is extra money for you. You do get paid a pretty good honorarium, as it's called. Plus, it's going to help you with deferred comp. So that's extra money as well. And hey, it's going to get you out of the shop. Okay, it's going to get you out teaching, doing golf pro stuff, which that's why we all got in the business, right? We do need to increase these numbers, and the money obviously helps, the feel good obviously helps, but it's really for the veterans and really help them enjoy the game and go through their therapy. Everyone in this room is capable of helping. Even the sales reps. You can go help out a golf course. You can help with supporting with product, things like that. Everybody is helpful. So hopefully I persuaded you to jump in. What's the next step? Get trained. We're going to have some PJ Hope trainings coming up. You do need to be certified to get trained. If you want to jump in this year, you can help with a current program, and if you're at a current program, that current program can increase its numbers. And then for next year, as we go through the budget process of new programs, you can then host your own program this year. Again, if you're nervous about starting your own program, jump in with a current program and come learn from somebody like myself or Jim, and we'll show you the ropes, and then you can run your own program next year. And then finally, connect with Jordan. Jordan Haynes in the section office does a great job with this. She will make it very easy for you to jump in and to provide this program. If there's any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Just real quick, everything he said is spot on, and go to him if you have any questions, because he's great at it. One quick story to think about. One, it is a way to make some dollars as well, but Jason said it perfectly. It's to help these veterans. This is a story that I think about all the time, and it shook me, so I'm just warning you a little bit. It shook me the first time I heard it. Jim Arndt down in Columbus called me and told me a story about he was running a program and had a veteran come out, and the veteran had not signed up to be in that program. They came out to see it, and Jim was trying to encourage him, hey, get involved, go in there. But our military, they follow the rules, and so he didn't want to jump in yet because he hadn't signed up. And Jim was talking to him, getting to know him. Turned out he had driven, 2.5 hours to be there, to check it out, not even go in it, and told Jim, this morning I was either going to eat a bullet or I was going to come check out this program. So those are the people that this program helps. And Jim, I believe he went through the program and is still very involved there. So it truly did save his life and made a difference. So we encourage you to think about that if you're thinking about getting involved with Hope. With that said, we are going to take a 5-minute break as we reset up the stage and bring on our 2 guest speakers. So 5 minutes, 4:05, we'll get started. I'll go ahead and start. We've got really 2 special treats here with us today. I'm going to have each of them introduce themselves. However, for those who don't know, I talked about our trustee group, and Ashworth Golf, with Andy, their CEO, as appointee, is one of our trustees on our foundation end. So we're very, very excited to have them with us. And I will turn it over to both of you. John, if you want to start, introduce yourself.
Sure. Nice to be here. Good to see everyone. My name's John Ashworth. I'm from Southern California. I started a little company called Ashworth Golf back in 1987, long time ago. And I could tell probably some of you guys might remember a sales rep by the name of Sam Aronson. Does anybody remember Sam? That's going way back, but he was a legend, and he's from this area, so I just wanted to shout out to Sam. But it's great to be here. I'll let Andy introduce himself.
Yeah, I'm the sidekick, actually. Andy Bell, I'm CEO of Ashworth Golf. We just recently relocated our headquarters here into the Atlanta area, so our warehouse facility is over in Conyers. We'll be building a sales and design office and extending our presence here. So we're leaving Southern California, but not Mr. Ashworth. We're going to let him enjoy the sunshine and golf and everything that is there, but we're going to do business out of the Atlanta area. So I've been in the golf business my whole life. Run a lot of really good brands in this industry. Like most of you, I grew up working in the bag room, mowing greens, raking bunkers. I worked for Don January in the Dallas area as a kid, and have just been around it my entire life. When I graduated, I went to work for Ralph Lauren in polo golf on the road selling right out of college, and have been around ever since. So it's a game that I love. A lot of passion about it, and I think that's really what brought me back to it. The opportunity to come and run the Ashworth brand and help restore it back to the place that it should be in the Ashworth name. So thank you for having us. We're really thrilled to be here.
Yeah, thank you both. And to give you all an idea, when I sat down and met with Andy, we work with a lot of partners, and the part I appreciate the most is how creative they want to be. So we're going to share a little more on that on the section side, something cool we're putting together with Ashworth. But talk to them about the foundation and the trustee group and what we were doing, and they were in almost right away, just loving the good work that was happening and wanted to do something to make a difference that was not traditional and was different. So thank you to Ashworth Golf so much for that. John, I'll start with you. Many know the Ashworth Golf Man logo, but not the full story. What kind of insight or background can you give us on that?
Well, it goes way back. I got to go back in the time machine here, but again, like what Andy said, like most of you, I've been in golf my whole life, basically, and we all kind of come to this game different ways and everything. And for me, I guess I was born into it. My grandparents on my dad's side were both scratch golfers, and then my father was a single-digit golfer. So we were in L.A. and moved to a little town called Escondido in 1965 because of the Watts riots. I don't know if you all remember that big thing in L.A. So my dad was a school teacher, my mom was a nurse, and he was a golf junkie. He was a golf nut. Anytime he could, he'd be out playing golf, typically on a Sunday morning. So the story kind of goes how I got into golf was I was an 8-year-old little rugrat kid running around, playing till the street lights went on. And my mom got on this kick that was like, okay, I have 4 sisters and a brother, by the way, and I was number 5. You're all going to go to Sunday school. And I was like, what? Wait a second, Sunday school. And so I went to Sunday school one time, and I threw such a fit, I guess, that I was given a choice. I could either go to Sunday school or I could go caddy for my dad in his regular Sunday morning game. So that's how I got into golf. And I was hooked ever since. But anyway, as that relates to Ashworth, growing up in golf and being a golfer as a kid, junior golf, college golf, got a scholarship to Arizona, played at Arizona, but I kind of felt like going into that, I was going to be a professional golfer, like a lot of kids that go to school. But as Coach Haack said, I was the kid that was going to steer it down the fairway and not swing free. So I knew right away that, if I was going to stay in and around golf, it wasn't going to be as a pro golfer. So I got my degree in agronomy, turf grass management from Arizona. But when I got out of school and went to work on a greens crew, getting up at 4:30 every morning, living in San Diego, that was tough. That was a tough alarm clock to get up to. So I actually I went and caddied on the tour in 1984 for a good friend of mine, a guy named Mark Wiebe. Went through tour school, and he got his card, and so it was like being, with a circus, went and caddied for a year on the tour. And his sponsor was a guy by the name of Jerry Montiel. And Jerry and I became really good friends, and he was a very entrepreneurial business guy, super nice guy. We became good friends, and after the first year, and when you're back, this is 1984, so I'm getting $250 a week plus 5% of what he won, which he won 19 grand. So you do the math. I was living in my car half the time, So, but Jerry took a liking to me and said, hey, what are you doing? I was going to go home and get a real job. And he goes, why don't you come work for me? I'm opening up a couple of sporting goods stores in Denver, Colorado. And I'm just getting going. You got good energy. I need a manager. You could be a buyer, manager kind of guy. So I went to work for Jerry in the sporting goods store, and I bought all the golf stuff. So I was on the other side of the fence there, and I got to see all the brands. And again, playing in college, I really, it was the late 70s, early 80s, and I just really couldn't stand the golf uniforms. I mean, they were just, they were tough to wear. It was really tight-fitting polyester, and it was really bad polyester at the time. And so I, fast forward a few more years, nothing really got any better. And back then, if any of you were in the room or in the golf business back then, it was a very small cottage industry. There was no Nike, no Adidas, no Polo, no big companies. It was just small companies. And so anyway, unfortunately for Jerry, these sporting goods stores didn't work that well because the economy was very tough in 1985. It was 17% interest rates, and it was tough to make a go of it. So he said, look, if you stay on and help me close these 2 stores down, we'll figure out another business to do. Again, very entrepreneurial. And I was like, sure, I'll help you. I'll stay on and close these stores down. And and that was tough. I mean, I don't know if any of you ever closed down a business, but you're calling all the vendors saying, hey, I can give you maybe 30 cents on the dollar, and just kind of doing the best you can, but you're closing this thing down. So anyway, we got through that, and he was like, I was 26 years old at the time, and he was sort of like, well, if you could start any business, what would you do? And I said, well, golf clothing's really rough right now. I said, I would do my own clothing line and sell it to my friends in the golf industry. And he's like, bingo, that's a pretty good idea. Let's do that. So we went off and raised a little bit of money, and that's how we got started.
That's great. What were the early challenges with that?
Well, I didn't know one thing about doing it. That was an early challenge. But I, full of piss and vinegar or whatever, and I was in Denver at the time, so I thought I either had to go to New York City or LA, where they had a garment district. And being from California, I got my car and drove to LA, got a little office there, and I hired a friend of a friend's girlfriend that was a sort of designer, and another friend of a friend that was she was like in production for Guess Jeans, So the 3 of us kind of, went to work and went down to the garment. There was a fashion mart in LA, there still is, where you could actually go look at fabrics and feel them and touch them. But it was the school of hard knocks, really, at that time. Honestly, it's an absolute, luck fest that we made it through that early stage, because, I kind of laugh because it's, a lot of things went right. I mean, I feel like, I wasn't afraid to ask questions and be the dumbest guy in the room. That's for sure, because I was. But luckily it's also not rocket science. So you kind of just start connecting the dots. And back then, we made everything in America, which was, interesting and really, I couldn't figure out how to do it any other way, but came down to the Carolinas for fabric. Our cut and sew place was in California. Get trims from New York. So there was a lot of moving parts for sure, but just connected all the dots. Yeah.
Oh, very good. Is there anything? The logo? How did you choose that?
So the logo, the golf band logo, was. I thought, starting this whole thing. And the other thing, the name itself is interesting because we had the idea long before we had the name, and then we were throwing around all these kind of names, and nothing was sticking. And my partner, who's 15 years older than me, Geary, he was like, I think we should name it Ashworth. And I was like, no way, Jesus, there's no chance. I don't even like my last name. We're not going to do that. And so sure enough, we went along, and sure enough, we were running out of time. We were already working on the first collection, and we had to have a brand name to go with it. And so he pretty much put his foot down. He goes, we're going to call it Ashworth. I go, okay. So off we went on that. And he's a pretty shrewd guy because he probably put it together that if my name's on it, I'm going to probably work 10 times harder than I would normally. So, and maybe not give up as soon as I maybe normally would. But anyway, the golf band logo, I had the logo before we even had the name, I think. So I was in Denver, and a friend of mine, I was talking to him, I said, hey, I need a graphic artist because I want to come up with a logo for this brand. And he gave me this friend of his, and I called him, and I was telling him, kind of waxing on and about how I love golf, and I love the walking part of it. I love between the shots. I'm a big fan of links golf, Scotland, all these things that golf means to all of us, right? And he's taking it all in, and he goes, well, when you come out to LA, let's get together for a cup of coffee. I'll show you something. So unbeknownst to me, when I was telling him, he was actually drawing that as I was talking to him. So, and that was a guy by the name of Barry Grimes, who actually, he's from Alabama, and he became a dear friend of mine. He was our art director for 10 years, yeah.
Very, very neat. Was there, and I promise, Andy, I'm going to ask you a question too. Was there a moment, obviously you're just starting out, you shared kind of the story there. Was there a moment when things started to turn, or a point that sticks out where, this went, I might have something?
Yeah, there was a couple of them. I mean, I knew early on that it would be great to get a couple guys on the tour to represent the brand. And playing in college, I played at the same time as Fred Couples and John Cook. Now, I never played in a foursome with them, but I've been to tournaments where they were at. I remember looking across the fairway this one time at this tournament, and I saw this guy walking down the fairway, with his bag slung over his shoulder, his shirt was untucked, and it was Fred, and I was just going, that guy's the coolest guy I've ever seen, even way back then. So when we got started and we had a little sample line cobbled together, I went and talked to both Fred Couples and John Cook, told them what we were doing, what our vision was to do a new brand that was a little bit more modern, a little bit more timeless, and different than what was out there, and showed them what we were doing, and they liked it. So we brought them on board, gave them a piece of the company, and so that was huge early on, just to have that bit of validity. And then when Fred won the Masters, that's kind of when we were already going pretty good, but then when he won the Masters, it kind of just went kind of Richter at that point. Yeah.
Love that. Okay, Andy. So how do you, a challenge obviously nowadays, how do you still honor all those traditions and what Ashworth Golf was kind of the original golf apparel brand with staying with current trends?
That's a really good question. And to follow up a little bit to Fred and what John was just talking about. So when I joined maybe 18 months ago, I'd come back, and so it's in the middle of a season. Obviously, the few seasons are designed, so I'm kind of just paying attention, trying to get caught up on what's happening. And at a show, maybe Dallas, and a young buyer says, "Who's the old guy on the cover?" I was like, "Well, that's Fred Couples." She's like, "Oh, Champions Tour." Got it, right? I said, "Well, probably go Hall of Fame, won the Masters in '92. She's like, "Well, I was born in '97. So it was a moment for us, I think, that we all were like, we want to look back, right? And I think the great things about the Ashworth brand for me, and really why I want to be a part of it, is I think the essence and the ethos of this brand are not rooted in a particular pattern or a fabric or any of that. It's kind of rooted in the game. And John's passion for the game, and it's in the walking and what it means. Those are all timeless, right? Like character and integrity and all those things, they're never old ideas. Sometimes I just don't think we talk about them as much. But it's a real challenge. You don't want to be the old brand for old men, right? So I think we want to be modern and relevant and still honor those ideas, and I think we do a good job of it. And let's face it, the scope of fashion in the golf world is pretty narrow, right? We don't venture too far. We're not sending things down the runway, right? And if you do, you might get a little publicity, and then there's just really no business there. So we're pretty, I think most of golf fashion is pretty straightforward. And we do what we do. I think there's a casual vibe to Ashworth and that. And so some of the things that really aren't about touch and feel, and it's their ideas. So those never really go away.
Well said. This is kind of for both. Is there anything in Ashworth's kind of timeline in history when you sort of took some risks outside of what you'd normally been doing, or anything to help the brand?
Well, took some risk in the clothing part, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think we're always looking, and there's companies always making the newest, the betterest, the newest fabrics. But like Andy said, you're not going to stray too much from the middle, especially in the golf thing. You could a little bit, but it's not going to really. There's not that much on the fringe.
And I think the risk you took was right away.
Yeah.
You're talking about an oversized cotton shirt when the entire world was in trim-fitting polyester.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. When I say that out loud, I'm like, it's almost deja vu a little bit, right? The world is full of polyester, much different polyester than it was back then. But I think, to me, that was the biggest risk right there, was being so different and coming out, and the vibe that Ashworth had at the beginning.
Oh, great point. John, this one's for you. For those who don't know, Goat Hill Park golf course is become almost an extension of your philosophy in golf, if you will. Can you give us a little bit of a history of the course and the Save the Goat Hill campaign?
Oh yeah, how many have heard of Goat Hill Park? Quite a few. Okay, so this other little brand I started about 14 years ago was called Link Soul. So I don't know if you heard of that, but. Anyway, we were in Oceanside. I've had 3 lifetimes with Ashworth, by the way. I'll just get that out. I started it. I left after about 11 years, came back 10 years later, got booted out by TaylorMade Adidas, and then I came back later with Andy, and I'm just rooting like heck for Andy and the team, and I love the fact that there's a great company behind Ashworth now that's actually I'll probably let Andy tell you more about New Times, but they're a 60-year-old garment design and manufacturing company that has offices all over the world. So we're in really good hands as far as the quality and the make of what we'll do, which is fantastic. But getting back to Goat Hill Park, so I was in Oceanside. I live in Carlsbad, but Oceanside's 10 minutes down the road, and our main office at Link Soul was on the Coast Highway in Oceanside. And we played this little golf course called Center City Golf Course, but all the locals called it Goat Hill. and it was always in terrible shape, but it was designed back in 1952, so it's one of the oldest courses in San Diego County. And it originally was a 9-hole course, par 36. I played it in the 70s in high school and junior golf. And it was a fun course, eucalyptus trees, and it's got good undulation and everything. But in the around 1990, this guy came in, and because some of the city took some land, he redesigned it into an 18-hole short course. So it's par 65, it's 4,500 yards, but it's really fun. So we started playing. It was in terrible shape, and the city was, we had a big drought in California, so you're not supposed to water. So it got really bad. It was pretty much all dirt. And the city put out an RFP, a request for proposal. So all of a sudden we had these big billionaire developers, because it's 75 acres with an ocean view. It's probably a $100 million piece of property in California, easily. So we had this idea starting Link Soul that we're going to, do this whole Save Goat Hill campaign, just to more publicity than anything else. But the odd thing is, growing up in that area, the golf course that I learned how to play golf on, that I caddied from my dad, was called San Luis Rey, and it was 20 minutes away, and that was gone, development. Course that I played high school golf on, Escondido Country Club, 15 miles away, that was gone because of development. Another course down the road, Los Penasquitos, gone. Anyway, there's this like epidemic of golf leaving after the big recession and everything, and the drought and all that stuff. So we just thought, you know what, we're going to put a plan in. We're going to be serious. We don't think we'll get it. Save Goat Hill. We're just going to fix it up. We're going to make it the home of the North County Junior Golf, which is what I played when I was a little kid, and it's still around. And have it be a hub of the community. Everyone's welcome. An entry-level golf course, affordable, accessible, all that stuff. So we went to the city council meetings. I'm sure all of you have probably been to a city council meeting or two, but going up these big-time developers. But we rallied the whole city behind us. I mean, we actually sent Save Goat Hill T-shirts to celebrities, and they put them on and sent us photos. One in particular, Bill Murray, who this friend of his, he has a house in Palma Valley, which is about 30 minutes away, one of his houses. And his kids grew up there and went to school, so he's had a house there for 25 years. And this little old lady, Jane Anderson, who's just adorable, like she's a 90-year-old lady, but she's golfed her whole life. She's a scratch golfer. She's awesome. She taught his kids, so she was really close with him. And she goes, John, just send him a note, send him a shirt, he'll do it. I go, okay. So I sent him a note, sent him a shirt. Didn't hear back from him a couple months, kind of forgot about it. And then all of a sudden one day I get an envelope in the mail with this photo of Bill Murray on the 40th anniversary of Saturday Night Live stage with his tuxedo, and he's just like, Save Goat Hill. So that was a real shot in the arm. And then, Adam Scott and Charlie Hoffman and Marky Mark and all kinds of guys. So anyway, the whole community rallied around us. We went to the city council, another city council meeting, and sure enough, the mayor was like, okay, John, we're gonna give you this shot. You gotta go try to save Goat Hill. So off we went. And one of the lease requirements was that we had to put $3.6 million into it the first 2 years to show that we were serious. And which, it's a fair amount of money, and I was sort of like, God, I don't really have that sitting around, and I had a guy that was kind of with me that was all fired up, that was kind of a pretty rich guy, Frank. Well, Frank just disappeared after that came out. So we needed an act of God, and we actually got an act of God, believe it or not, because the drought in California, this is going to sound crazy to you guys, but if you owned a home and if you took out, for every square foot you took out, you get a $2 rebate. So if you took out 500 square feet of grass that was irrigated and put in rocks or cactus or whatever, you get $1,000. So I put in a plant for 27.3 acres and got $2.3 million, which we could use towards that $3.6 million lease improvement. So we cobbled together the money and off we went. And so we made it past that first lease extension term, and now we got a 50-year lease, which is awesome. But I have so much more respect for all of you in the room and all the golf course owners, because I know how hard it is to take care of a golf course day in, day out, but how important it is what we do, what we all do for the world is, to me, really important. I mean, I look at it like there's two worlds. There's the golf world, which is what we're in, and then there's the real world. And the people in the real world, they need us, and they want to be in the golf world. So what we do, I really believe in my heart is super important for the mental health and the well-being for, everyone from the cradle to the grave. I mean, we have, and that's what's great for Goat Hill Park. I just love it. I pinch myself because we don't have a dress. We're as entry level as you can get public golf course. We don't have a dress code. We're dog friendly. We play music around the clubhouse. It's literally like we have a park, but we just happen to have a golf course too. So anyway, it's been a great experience.
That's a really, really good story. And I think it kind of talks to, and as I've gotten to know Andy, just Ashworth wants to do things differently and be creative. You saw a problem for Goat Hill and you solved it. You got that $2.3 million for the lease agreement. Now you got 50 years. That's thinking outside the box to do that. Andy, I'd like to ask you the parent company or the backing company that John mentioned. Can you share a little bit more on that?
Sure. I will say, when you hear, every time I hear John speak, I get excited too. And as you get to know us, you'll see a lot of what we're trying to do, where we're coming from, our point of view is, comes from John. And part of that is we don't take ourselves too seriously, right? We're not curing cancer. We can promise you that. We haven't invented that shirt yet. But we do think there's an opportunity to do some good. And I think John leads the way for us in that every day. For us, our ownership group is a company called New Times Group. It is a 60-year-old family-held business. They produce $2.5 billion worth of product around the world, offices in 53 countries. If you were at the recent PGA show, we actually source product for about 75 brands that are in the PGA show. Which is another interesting story. We're walking through the aisles, and John's like, I think I'm the only brand that was here in 1987 and is still here. So you're probably right. But New Times is great for us. There's a lot of advantages. They produce all the private label for Nordstrom, Bloomingdale's. They're in the retail space. They have bought brands over the last few years, started to build a branded portfolio. So Robert Talbot, if you're familiar with the men's specialty world, Robert Talbot is a brand of ours. Billy Reed is just a recent acquisition. So if you know Northern Alabama, and Billy Reed, 4-time CFDA winner. Obviously Ashworth, Bike Athletic, and more. Coldwater Creek, which we really don't have much to do with, but is a brand of ours as well. So they're a great organization. They know what they're doing. And we also, what's interesting, if you can imagine, is people are coming to us to source their product. One, we know what a product should cost. So you all lived through COVID and the price increases. And yes, a container went from $3,000 to $30,000 to move product overseas, but that doesn't happen anymore, right? So most of the COVID costs are gone. But as we sat back and watched the prices, the prices really never came back down. So John touched on earlier about Goat Hill and golf for everybody and accessible. We're kind of sensitive to that too from a price point perspective. So we're not, $125 polyester polo just touches a nerve for me. So we're chasing really our position in life is we comfortably sit in better. Really, we're trying to be $75 to $95 retail is kind of where we aim to sit, and try to be accessible to most people. We're not for what it is. I mean, I think Ashworth, we make product for golfers. And golfers come in all shapes and sizes and income levels and play. And so we want all golfers to have access to what we do. And the icon, the golf band icon is special. I can share a couple of stories. I've had people email me pictures of body parts, nothing offensive, with a golf band tattoo on it. So I can tell you I've only worked for 2 brands in my lifetime where that happened. And one of them has Ralph's name on it, Ralph Lauren's name. The other one has John Ashworth's name on it. And one guy was so happy, he's like, thank you for coming back and restoring this brand and going to work on it because I can stop explaining what the tattoo is on my calf to everybody. So I can just send them to the website. So again, having New Times with us is great because we also see what's coming down the road. 18 months, 24 months down the road, we see what people are sourcing, what they're asking for, the samples they're chasing. And so there's, right now, if you're interested, there's a microplastics conversation going on, especially in activewear, especially in women's wear. There's a real sensitivity to the amount of plastic that we surround ourselves with. And so that's starting to migrate itself into apparel. We're seeing more and more companies ask us for blended products and all cotton products. So we'll see. There's something to go. I'm not worried about golf going that direction anytime soon. I think our guy loves his easy care more than anything else, right? Wash it, dry it, don't worry about it. I think that's what drives them the most. So, but we're chasing some of those ideas. We put out some blended products as well. So, but this is when John said the bootstrapping of the first 3 years are far different than what we're dealing with today. Now, I don't have free reign to just burn cash. I wouldn't be here very long if I did. But their challenge to us is to be great, not to be big, if that makes sense. Now, great obviously needs to make money. But this isn't like, Andy, we need to be a $100 million business tomorrow. They just want us to be great. So there's a lot of ways to be great.
I love that. You kind of touched on it, John, but from your perspective, just how valuable, if you can touch on a little more, are the PGA professionals to everything Ashworth has going on?
Oh, you mean all these folks? Everything. Yeah, no, I remember actually, we were, back in the old days when we started, we were green grass only. We just said we are here for golf, we're here for green grass. On our ads back in the trade magazines, we used to say, the golf shop is where the game gets its style. And I remember we were going pretty good. Maybe it was our 6th or 7th year. And Nordstrom called us. And they said, hey, we've been seeing your stuff and we really want to carry it. And we're like, God, that's really nice. Thanks a bunch, but we can't sell you. We're green grass only. And they said, what? Nobody's ever said no to us. So, I mean, I guess those days might be long gone because, everybody probably sells on the internet and sells different places. But yeah, I mean, our heart and soul is PGA of America and green grass only, really. So
yeah, and I think we've got a lot of golfers, former professionals, even inside our business. Like we know golf, and you're not. What I love is when somebody's like, "Wow, we're lifestyle." Their hot dog print shirt made it from the golf course to the picnic, and now they're lifestyle. It's not our thing. Like we don't need to stand around and tell you that we're lifestyle, and everybody's like, well, we go from the office to the course and all that. We just make product for golfers, right? We just make product for golfers, wherever that may take them. Might take you to the fire pit, cold beer, may take you to church, may take you to a lot of places. But we see like the icon, the golf band is a celebration of golf. Like the people that wear it, they love it, they're passionate about it. And I think that's kind of who our customer is, the guys that just love the game. And so wearing a Golf Man logo doesn't bother them. They're not worried about somebody judging them because they're raising their hand saying I'm a golfer. But yeah, it's incredibly important. And obviously we'll talk about what we're doing, but we're worried. I'm worried from my perspective, and I don't know who I'm going to offend, somebody. You all work with a lot of sales reps. And the sales reps in our industry are not getting any younger. I think we can all agree on that. And I think it's a tough job, right? Especially if you're an independent rep, right? That's a challenging to bootstrap your way and pick up lines and go do it. And then from our perspective, somebody that's got 7 lines, like where does your brand fit into that time? Like we've all sat in those appointments. and 5 lines in, you're like, good Lord, when is this going to end, right? And so if we're brand number 6 coming out, how much time and attention does it get, right? So we've even made the migration our own investment just in the last 6 months, bringing 4 young men and women into our business as company-owned employees that are sales reps that are 100% dedicated to us, that know the game, appreciate the game, and can devote the time to make the brand go. And I think it's very valuable because sending a 65, 70-year-old guy who's been in the business for 50 years in to talk to a 26-year-old buyer, it's not the same language anymore, right? They're not going to snap each other, right? And they just communicate differently. And I think, the buyers are like looking, and it's like I was born in 97 comment. So we have we've watched, we're all trying to transition the game. We're trying to grow the game, which is great, but I think we also have to grow the game internally, right? We got to make sure that we're getting young, vibrant, talented people that want to be a part of what we do on all sides, or we have no one to service the growth that we're going to get. So that's kind of where our head is what can we do, how do we work to really foster that and make sure that we're bringing that kind of young, vibrant people into our business to work it so that it lives on.
Absolutely. I want to leave just a few minutes for questions, but before I do, you mentioned it. Moving the headquarters to Georgia, you've already come in, you're supporting us tremendously on the reach side as a trustee, but I know from the beginning you said you wanted to do something for the PGA professionals as well. So can you share a little bit about what we're going to unveil this year?
We're excited about it. We've always been around. Like I said, been in this industry a long time. And I can't tell you how many section pros we sponsored. Here's $5,000 and 120 shirts and whatever, right? And everybody can do that. And my initial conversation, it actually started, where's Chad? It actually started when I saw the post for the Drew. That's what got my attention right away. So I reached out to Chad and I reached out to Scott. I was like, hey, I love where this is headed. And asked about being involved because I just thought it was going down the right path. So the more we talked, we came up with this idea that there's a way, and you all talked about it earlier. You were talking about recruiting, how you get talented people and recruiting outside your neighborhood. Like you may have to go 3 states over and creating positions that are compelling because you're up against the idea that I could be an internet influencer and make a lot of money in the next 15 days. You're up against a lot of different things. Right? And I think we all know sometimes our assistant professional jobs and our buyer jobs can be challenging. We got long hours, we work hard, do a lot. So we wanted to figure out how to help you recruit and retain that talent. So what we're going to do, and this is just in the Georgia section only, it's really a pioneering program for us. We're going to give back 10% of every purchase out of the Georgia section back to you in 2 forms. The first 5% comes right back to the pro, and it's intended to be used to support your staff in their continuing education. So essentially, this is a continuing education grant, rebate, whatever you want, right? The second 5% is going to be given to the Drew and be a part of that grant. So, and both, again, are ideas around the same place, but, and I hope it's a lot of money, but we feel like every little bit can help. And if we can lead the way and we can find another 10, because it's not about us, right? I'm not looking for exclusivity on the idea. I'm trying to get our side of the business to think differently about how we support the section. So we're very interested to see. Obviously, we love your support, but it's as much about helping you build your staff, retain your staff, grow your staff. And I know a lot of you in the room, I know from over the years, and I think we're all, every time we get one of our staff promoted, your first assistant gets his first head pro job, like that's a huge win. So I think we're all really vested in our staff and building great people. And I said it to my guys that we've just hired, same thing. I don't want them to aspire to be the world's greatest sales rep. I want them to aspire to be my job, right? They should have my job. And if I can't create opportunities to retain them and keep them, that's on me. But if they get promoted to be a sales manager or go somewhere else, God bless them, right? And I can take pride in that because I've trained them, I've taught them, and they are respected in the business and all that stuff. So it's really our way to just try something different. Thank you guys for allowing us to piggyback on the Drew a little bit and be a part of that side of it. But we'll see. You guys are pioneers with us. We're going to see how this works, and hopefully we can all do some good with that money.
Yeah, so huge thank you to them for wanting to do this. And with that, we're going to make it easy. It's going to be twice a year. We're going to get a report from Andy. The full 10% will go to us, and then 5%, half of that will go to you all, paid out through us. So you don't have to start anything new. You're not going to have to do your own 990 with that. We'll take care of it for you.
That was my one condition to Scott. I said, I am not issuing 1099s. We've got to find a way to solve this. I've got my own challenges already. So you helped me figure this out, and they did. So it was good.
Yeah. So we've got time for a couple of questions. I know Josh is staring at me over there. But if anybody, I mean, you got the founder of Ashworth here. You got the CEO. Any questions for these gentlemen? If you'll stand up, speak loudly.
They're all hungry.
How important was the point of view when you were trying to tell your story? You were building your brand.
Oh, it was. I think it was very important, really. And what we did to try to separate ourselves, actually, I don't know who would remember this. Maybe some of you, but we used black and white photography back in the days. Which was very effective for two reasons. One, it stood out because nobody else did it, and two, it was a lot cheaper because it was black and white. So it kind of is twofold.
It's creative. Any else?
So,
yeah.
Freddie Couples, my favorite golfer. What was it like outfitting him and keeping up with his lifestyle?
You know, it was great. I mean, Fred's Fred, right? I mean, you know, he's, you know, guys wanted to be like him, and women wanted to be with him for sure. So, I mean, but he was great to work with. He would plenty of times he would back out of a photo shoot last minute, but we got used to that. But no, he was always very positive and fun to work with, for sure. Yeah.
Any others? All right, I think y'all are going to stick around for the welcome this evening. So let's give it up for John and Andy. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, John and Andy. Look forward to spending some time with you at the happy hour reception here in a few minutes. We've got a little formal business to get to here and just a couple minutes to do it, so stick with me, please. The good news is we have no unfinished business that we need to go over, so we can kick right into the new business. At this time, we're going to introduce a resolution to amend our Constitution. You should have a copy of it in your packet there. It's also going to be placed up here on the screen. So this has been submitted by the Georgia PGA officers, and the proposal is that the Georgia PGA will eliminate this article from the meeting Section 7 from the Georgia PGA Constitution. The current reading, Section 7, at all Georgia section business meetings and education seminars, appropriate business attire is required. This includes a jacket and tie for gentlemen and suitable business attire for ladies. In the event of an education seminar or a meeting does not require this type of attire, members will be notified in advance. As you can see below, we have listed our proposed resolution to eliminate this language altogether from the Georgia PGA Constitution, thus not requiring specific attire. At all future Georgia section business meetings and education seminars, the Georgia PGA Board of Directors and/or staff will notify members of the appropriate attire that is required. So at this time, I will take a motion for a vote on the proposed resolution. Second. Okay, we'll have a moment for discussion, and I'll kick it off here. Important to note, for special circumstances as we had last year with a golf tournament right after the meeting, rather than have everyone come and go and shuffle and trying to figure out how to change in a parking lot, this allows some flexibility. I do want to say, of course, if you'd like to wear a suit and tie to any meeting, you are more than welcome to. We just would like to have the flexibility for specific meetings or just as things progress to be able to go into more of a golf attire. I would imagine officers and presenters going forward would likely still stay in a suit and tie, but we'll see where that goes as well. Any other questions, comments, concerns before we go to a vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to a vote. We're going to go by a show of hands. So at this point, all in favor of the proposed resolution to amend the Constitution, please raise your hand. Thank you. Those not in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. Any abstain? All right. Gordo, you got a pretty good sense of that? All right. I believe it is approved. So thank you. Thank you very much for taking the time to read on that and go ahead and vote. You can clap. Don't take your tie off yet. All right, at this time, we will go to the open forum segment of the program here. So this is open forum. If you have any comments or questions for any members of the board or the officers or any general comments, we do ask that you please stand. We will try to acknowledge you. If you need a microphone or need to come up and speak louder, we could do that as well. So open forum, free season. Who would like to go first? Mr. Stubbs.
Cary, in light of the situation at the Ryder Cup and some other unfortunate things that have happened at the national level, can you speak a little bit about the position of the current national board with regards to repairing the damage that may be done to the reputation of the PGA of America and to its members?
Yeah. So, I can tell you that we take it very seriously what happened at the Ryder Cup. It was not to the standard of what we consider to be for our association, and we are looking at that very closely, and I don't think anything is off the table when it comes to how we will restructure what we do going forward. When we come back to Rochester, it's got to be on point. We have to represent everyone in this room and everyone across the country properly. Did we fall short? Absolutely. We're taking full responsibility for that. But I do tell you that at the board level, we are so committed to getting our structure proper so that we have a foundation to move forward. Because at the end of the day, we're not in the business of Ryder Cups and championships, even though that's important. The biggest thing we do is we serve everybody in this room. And we've got to get back to serving the member better. And so that's our focus. We want to get strong, confident, and make sure that everyone in this room feels good about their association. We've always been prideful of who we are. We're the stewards of the game. And we got to get back to doing that, running that business as good as possible. Does that answer the question?
Thank you, Cary. Any others? Everybody hungry? Oh, here we go.
Just on that same note, can you speak a little bit of President Ray's role going forward?
Yeah, so Don continues to be part of the boardroom. Looking forward to seeing him on our board call on Wednesday. Don is going to be really focused on member-centric, member-facing strategic priorities for the rest of his campaign. So he's still a part of what we're doing right now with the hiring of Terry Clark. We feel like getting that in order and getting our business in order. We're going to just let Don kind of take care of our members. He's going to be going to the PGMU. He'll be coming to meetings like this. So his role going forward will be member-centric.
Thank you, Cary. Well, that will conclude the open forum segment. Before we adjourn, again, I just want to thank everyone that was here today, the sponsors, the board, the section staff, and all the members that are not only here, but took the time to invite somebody. We hope that you could stay for this evening with the opening reception and cocktails, which I believe is going to start here in about 30 minutes. So you've got a little time to check your email, freshen up, or check into the hotel if you're staying nearby. And again, I encourage you to stay if you can and come back tomorrow for the merchandise show. The staff has been working with the vendors over the last half a day here to get set up next door, and we're very excited for what's going to be a meaningful merchandise show and steps forward to where this will be in the coming years. It starts with bringing everyone together in Athens with all these great events that we have planned. So at that point, at exactly 5:01 p.m., I will take a motion to adjourn. Second? Thank you. Y'all have a great night.